I am the district chairperson for Soroko District Local Government. Let's pray as we begin our meeting. Heavenly Father, I want to say thank you at this hour. Thank you for keeping us and giving us a good breath. Thank you for the whole team. Father, I want to commit them with your hands as we begin this meeting. We pray for your guidance that as we continue, may you keep this team strong to learn, to be able to support other teams that are unable to be in ICT. May the clearance be done of the internet, that we shall have good internet, that everyone connected will be able to listen to it. For in Jesus' name I pray and believing. Amen.
Okay, thank you so much, our DEO. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome you to this session. Sorry for the delay to start. We had some challenges of internet connectivity here, but I hope we shall continue smoothly. On our program, like we saw, we've had the prayer. We are going to have welcome remarks from the team leader on EMIS project here at the ministry, our assistant commissioner. Then we will straight away go into challenges faced by schools in registering learners and responses. We would like to answer as many questions as we can to enable you do the right thing as far as registration of learners is concerned. And at 3:30, we hope the permanent secretary will join in so that she addresses you as head teachers, as technical people in the schools to do the last mile, because we want to register all the learners by the 9th of December. So that is our plan for today, and you'll have time to ask any questions to the permanent secretary. And we shall end by agreeing with the DEOs and the head teachers here to organize head teacher meetings within the week of 28th to 2nd December to do the last mile on EMIS. We want to do our best to make sure that every learner is registered here. So we'd like to welcome everyone, and for those who are joining us for the first time, this is our second meeting. And in the first meeting, we went through details of how to use the EMIS system. We have a recording that we are sharing in our WhatsApp group, and we shall share that with you going forward. For those who did not register, we shall put the registration link in the chat so that you register as we go on. With that, I want to welcome you to this meeting. My name is Ronald Dungu, and I'm a coordinator for this head teacher engagement. And with that, I want to now invite our assistant commissioner to speak to us. Let me just find him so that I give him the co-host rights.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dungu. Colleagues, once again, you are welcome to this virtual meeting. My name is Vincent Sozi. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Statistics, Monitoring and Evaluation, coordinating this project. It is an honor that today we are directly interacting. We are interacting with the teams in the local government and education institutions that are directly responsible for uploading information in the system. As you may be aware, this initiative started right in April when we did a pilot. And in July, we opened up the system for the different head teachers to provide the information. To date, we have registered the progress in this endeavor, and we just appeal for your collaboration and the cooperation to ensure that all learners are registered on the system, because the sole purpose of this is to ensure that we have all the learners. Then these learners will be handed over, this information will be handed over to NERA to provide unique identifiers, which we call the NINs. So without wasting a lot of time, I really want us to hear from you, and then have a good dialogue on the issues you are facing. Of course, you notice that we have automated quite a number of operations which were manual previously, like MEC number approvals, like licensing and registration, the MEC data collection exercise, which we used to do through annual school census. All these have been automated. And as we talk now, for example, on MEC number applications, we have so far approved about 2,146 applications from the ministry. But also we noticed that on the side of local government, we have about 1,244 applications that are still lying on the dashboards of DEOs in the local governments that are pending recommendation to come to the ministry. So I just appeal to the local governments. Let's all see how we can play our roles to ensure that we have a functional and effective MEC. So with that, colleagues, let's take this opportunity to officially open this meeting, and I wish all of you good deliberations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vincent. And we are going straight to the questions that have come through the chat. From St. Catherine, there is a question: when you try to enter some teacher's details, it brings you server error. Even after verifying the name, what could be the problem? Probably I will read through a few, and then we see if we can get some responses. Those on the call who have experienced some of these, you could even raise your hand if you want to add your own experience in terms of solving the problem. From Colin, Mande Colin, he says, I have a learner in S3 who started his PLE in 2015. When I enter his index number, it displays him as a now citizenship, not as a Ugandan. And the system, let's see, and the system asks me to provide his passport number and other details. This learner has a Ugandan national ID. Both of his parents are Ugandan, and he completed his P7 in one of the schools in Kigorovya, sub-county Hoima district. So I need help to enroll this learner. The third is the system does not allow editing a learner. In some cases, the information is interchanged and wrong for different users, for different students, compared to what was uploaded. From Gulu Ame School, wouldn't it be nice if a system was made that accepts marks in a uniform way and also have a report system that is from such? Oh, now this one is taking us to report systems. Maybe we keep that. We'll keep that on the WhatsApp group. Okay, it was success at my end, but kept wondering on this. I hoped to upload, but realized that I did not click the submit to NIRA for verification. For verification button. Does this mean my upload will pend for infinity? Can I re-upload the same spreadsheet and submit for verification again? Or still, is there a way I can retract such an upload? Why don't we start with those? Vincent, is anyone online that we need to give rights? Yes, David is there. David, you have the rights. David, you have the rights to respond. You can open your microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Dungu. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, David.
Okay, so maybe that text file you are displaying, when we ask a question, you will just keep highlighting it or something, pushing it up.
Okay.
But I will quickly run through these issues. Let me start with the St. Catherine School. When you try to enter some teachers' data, it brings the error. Yes, there was that error for certain teachers. And we had an issue where these teachers were also doubling as parents in the system. So there was a conflict in the NIN, but that error has been rectified. So from, I think, yesterday, but one, you shouldn't be able to get this error at all. So that is resolved.
Okay.
I have a learner in senior 3 who sat PLE in 2015. Yes, we have that issue of data from UNEB. And unfortunately, we are yet to update the data from 2015 and below. But as soon as we update that data, then you will be able to update those learners. And that cuts across from PLE, rather from UCE to the people in A level and all that, including certificates and diploma. So the same issue says the learner, when you put in, it gives a null. Yes, that learner, the data from UNEB, the date of birth is not correct, but we shall rectify that. When they were sharing the data, the date of birth got truncated or cut. So it is displaying that, but the actual date of birth is correct that UNEB will get it and update it for all those who are affected by that, and then you will be able to update those learners. So we are aware of that problem. And once you do that, then the system will not ask you those passports and foreign learners and stuff like that. It will be the correct Ugandan stuff. The system doesn't allow editing of a learner. Yes, we only enabled partial editing of certain details, but we are yet to enable what we call full learner detail editing. And it will not only be learner, it will be the entire school, including the editing of school names, location, learner details, teacher details. But we wanted to first finish this first phase of uploading the preliminary data. So we will enable that, and then when you have learners who have errors, then everyone will be able to edit those errors. So we just like the way UNEB does, where there is an amendment period, we shall also have the same where we'll have a period where we are able to edit all the errors regarding the data. I think this Rugando, no, the Rugando one is about hearing. I hope that one was sorted. From Guru, wouldn't it be nice if a system was made to accept marks in a uniform way and also have a report system that is from such a platform? It is going to be tricky to move marks from the different software being traded into IMIS. I'm not sure I understand this. Mr. Dungu, do you understand this? Because we haven't started capturing marks.
No, leave that out.
Okay. From Eli Ranga, it was success at my end, but kept wondering on this. I happened to upload, but realized that I did not click the submit. Oh, that button submit, for now, it is not doing any purpose. It is meant to be used when you finish the entire upload to confirm that you have uploaded everything. The reason we disabled it, people were already clicking it when they are halfway. In fact, what we are going to do today, we are going to remove it so that you don't get confused. People try to submit to NIRA, or rather the data, before they have even uploaded even 100 learners. So we shall remove it for now, and it will appear when necessary. So ignore it for now. Otherwise, when you finish submitting your data now and you are able to view it in your system, then that means the data is in IMIS. Okay, I think those questions relate to the same thing. You don't need, if you have uploaded and you can go to your menu and view learners by class or by sex, then it means that the learners are in IMIS, you don't need to re-upload. Again, from Guru, what happens to learners who never kept their NIN and now they say they lost them? I think there is a simpler way of checking for NINs from NIRA. And I think most of you can write this. Anyone can check for their NIN from NIRA by dialing *216# on USSD on your phones. *216# on your phone. Then you follow the steps. And then you will be able to retrieve your NIN. And you can retrieve NIN for your child, for anyone. So someone shouldn't say that they lost their NIN. So I hope this time everyone marks that and can share this with the different schools. I think Kabela Maido, that is just greetings. Okay, greetings to you as well. Entebbe Umea, what can be done to a learner who was given 2 liens? Now, that was happening at the very beginning, especially when we are not strict with the parents' names. So we shall have the opportunity to edit learners, to delete. You realize, especially those people who are from secondary, majority of you students gave you wrong index numbers. So you'll find a boys' school having girls. So the system right now does not allow you to remove those. So when we enable editing, you shall be able to delete those learners, including those who have that double NIN. Okay, so in other words, it is the same learner with 2 different liens. Rather, did you say liens? So you'll be able to maintain the actual record, including removing those learners who don't belong to your school once we enable the editing. Can you scroll down, Mr. Dungu?
Okay.
I am going to answer this one from Mande Caroline.
Yes, answer that one.
My concern is about the option of search, which is needed to be included in the system, especially on the completed pages of learners, where someone wants to make quick search of a learner who is not sure whether, okay. What we did now, we put a filter where you can filter your learners by class, by gender, and maybe you can search by name, but I think we'll take a look at that and see if we can add on even the option to search a learner by lean and all that. So it's a valid request. We shall include that search function on that page. Mr. Doom, are those the only questions? I saw so many of them, but
I'm
they
bringing more.
seem to have disappeared.
I'm bringing more questions. We ended with
At
Mondays.
1422.
Now we are at 1423. No, that is Monday is asking us to add them on the WhatsApp. We shall share the link. Nachimera Crest 1425.
The system is slow and takes a lot of data. Well, I don't know, because to answer that, really, I need to check the kind of connection you have and everything. But if you really have a slow connection, you are definitely going to experience slow speeds. But maybe you change the SIM card or network. In some locations, Airtel may work faster than MTN, and you should be able to have improved user experience. How can we delete a learner from the system in case of entering a wrong class? I think the class can be edited right now. If you've entered the learner, you go to the learner's profile page, and there is edit learner, a class, and other few details can be edited as of now. So the class should be able to be edited if you want to edit the class. I have a learner who start her P7 from Rwanda. When I enter her index number, it is declared incorrect. If the index number is from Rwanda, definitely it will not work in Uganda. So you will need to have what we call equated qualifications from UNEB. And I'm sure they will assign that person either an equated code or something, then we shall provide for how this can be captured. I think we've seen this problem elsewhere. Some learners who came from Burundi and other neighboring countries, and they are entering classes in either senior one or something. And at system level, we had not catered for this. So, but the procedure is have their qualifications equated by UNEB, and then you will have an equated code from UNEB, which we can use to capture in IMIS. How can I register a learner who start her P7 in 2010? Yes, next week, or even by end of this week, we are hoping to update data from UNEB, which caters from those years of 2010 and above, and then you should be able to upload those learners. But in the meantime, do upload all other learners, and those special cases, you just keep them until we have added that functionality. Hi, our dashboard didn't provide for enrolling school population. How can we be helped to start the process? I'm trying to see the meaning of this. Okay, recently we put an enrollment summary form, especially when you log in. But if for some reason you have put in some incorrect data and you want to edit it, you just go to the learners menu and click on expected enrollment. You should be able to edit that summary form again. So it has not disappeared. You just go to under learners menu, and then you click expected enrollment, and then click update, then you will be able to update that summary. The importance of that form of enrollment summary is that we are able to see schools who have reached 100% of their upload. So far, when I look at the system, I see close to 5,000 schools or plus have already reached 100%. Others at 80, 70, depending on how they have updated the enrollment summary form. So for now, if you keep uploading and we don't know the total number of learners you have in your school, then we can't know whether you're at 70 or 80. So it is important that that enrollment summary form, everyone fills it up so that we get a picture of how many schools have completed and we see which help we can give them. Then we shall include that enrollment on the dashboard for the school, and also we shall also include reports for the school to see a summary of learners you have in the school by class, by nationality, etc., as you guys will require. When I try to register my school, it shows me account already created. Is there an option of resetting it and I register it again? I think you will need to share your IMIS number with us on our WhatsApp, and or even the email, the support at IMIS, and then we shall get in touch with you and help to understand, because we need to know who actually created this account in the first place. We've seen a lot of people, the accounts are either created at the district and the school is not aware. So that is causing a lot of confusion. But if we can get to know the IMIS number, we shall know who created the account. Remember, whoever created the account even shared their NIN and phone, so we can call them to see who they are and see how to rectify that challenge. Some non-Ugandan children were captured as Ugandans right from PLE. How do we register such learners in secondary? I think this is where now we have a challenge. A number of learners were declared to UNEB as Ugandans when actually they are not. Now time has come, we have to register them in IMIS. You will notice that going forward, all government systems are going to be talking to each other. So if you declare wrong information in one department and then in another one you try to correct it, is going to be a challenge. In the case of this one, I think the issue is definitely going to start with UNEB, or see how UNEB can update that nationality. But otherwise, if the person is not a Ugandan, the requirements are simple. Either you are a refugee or you are an international student. If you're a refugee, we shall need the refugee number. If you are an international student, we shall require that you have a student pass, which is issued by immigration. So this particular one of a non-Ugandan child being registered at PLE as Ugandan, I think is a bit complicated case, which I think you will need to officially write to the ministry, and then the relevant authorities can advise on the next steps, but it is not something we can solve from this Q&A. Many learners with UNEB verified documents fail to upload. Is it that UNEB takes long to upload on their system? I think what that person is trying to mean is the same thing I've been answering. On the system, the data we have uploaded starts from 2015 and above. So we shall include all the other data that is missing, and those learners should be able to upload. Mr. Dungu, you are losing me now. I don't know where we are.
Sophia Mutesi. Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of asking about the information of a senior 4 student who started in 2015, but when I try to enter her information as an error expecting on anything that keeps bringing server error, and also a foreign student from Kenya who was converted to Ugandan index number. And how can you, I think I've just answered that. The one of 2015, we shall add the other data. But this one of Kenya who converted to Ugandan index, again, these are some of the issues IMIS is trying to resolve. where foreigners are declared as Ugandans, and then refugees are declared as Ugandans, then private students from nursery are declared as government students in primary. I think these are some of the issues and they are beginning to come up. So it's high time, and maybe Dungu in his remarks later on will address this, but I think it is a high time people begin providing real accurate information, because you might put in information in the system thinking that you are rushing to finish, but this information will catch up with you in the near future. And this one of a Kenyan with a Ugandan index number, yes, you will have the Ugandan index number, but if you are still Kenyan, then you will need the study or immigration documents to be able to continue. Otherwise, the index alone will not help you. From Kagoda, Stephen, to everyone, this is Kagoda. Why aren't we able to delete a learner permanently? I think this is what I started with at the very beginning. We shall provide this functionality of deleting learners permanently as soon as we stabilize the system and we are able to edit everything. And at that time, you will be able to delete all the learners you don't need in your school. I did not complete registering the school, but when I try again, it says account already created. How can I be helped? I think you did complete, only that you didn't activate the school account. A number of emails were sent to you, but you never went ahead to activate. So if you can still send through the WhatsApp to the team, to the group with your IMIS number, then we'll look into this and see how to help you complete that. Share your WhatsApp number or Telegram link. I think there is a group, Mr. Dunga, this person that maybe is not on the WhatsApp group, you will need to add them on the WhatsApp group, then they can share these details they want to share. I have a refugee learner who never sat PLE from Uganda, but rather South Sudan. The problem is that the system only allows PLE index numbers. I think I answered this already. If you are going to bring a student from another country to Uganda, the qualifications have to be equated to be able to enter the Ugandan system. Otherwise, then you will still get a challenge even to register them for UNEB at Senior 4 and all that stuff. Where are we? You just moved. Mr. Dungu?
You see,
I think we are at 1427, right?
we did the Rwanda. How can I register an P7 2010?
Yes, it is the same issue of UNEB data that we are going to update. So that should be addressed as soon as we update the UNEB data. Hi, our dashboard didn't provide for an enrolling student, but I think I answered that.
Okay,
no, I think go down. We had already gone through this. We were at 1436.
Yes. Refugee learner, you did that. Nabumali, I don't know whether it's talked about, but when I try logging in, it shows error 500.
No, I think that was the issue of the conflict of the NIN, which was resolved. So if you try to log in now, you should be okay without any problem at all. I think I've seen already a number of people who had that issue login. I'm trying to see, was that Navmari? Where was that?
Data 646 sent an end to see to everyone.
Okay, a senior
learner.
to Ugandan learner with both parents Ugandans but sat PROE in Rwanda. There is no option to register such a learner from. Okay, this is still related to the equating of results. I think if you're Ugandan, and maybe the other team members can advise, if you're Ugandan and you start your qualifications outside Uganda, you still need to equate that qualification at UNEB. So the index number won't work from another country. Okay.
We had a challenge of registering staff. Has it been worked on?
Yes, that one has been addressed. Some staff members who doubled as parents in other schools had that challenge with their name, but it has been worked on. So that is resolved. Mohanji from Kamengo PG, how do we handle foreign students who don't have PROE index numbers? Those ones are registered as foreign students, and we do not ask for PROE numbers unless they have other qualifications that they haven't equated with UNEP. But otherwise, foreign students, we do not, the system does not require index numbers. What can I do if I enter a learner's index number and it reads server error? That means the index number has a challenge, and I wish you can share that index number on WhatsApp and we look at it specifically. So I think Mr. Dungu will again share the WhatsApp number for this group. We have a group which is working on support.
It's already in the chat. It's already in the chat.
Okay, then we can address most of those errors. Some refugee students do not have refugee numbers, yet their parents have them. I think that is going to be tricky because usually for refugees, there is what we call a group number as well as the refugee number. So if a family, there is a parent and they have children, I'm not quite sure how the children miss to get refugee numbers when their parents have. So again, that is an issue which has to be resolved with the OPM or the Office of the Prime Minister and UNHCR to ensure that those children get their refugee numbers as quickly as possible. I have students who start PROE below 2015 who are in senior 3-2, and what is their fate? It's the same thing I've been answering. We'll update the enabled data to ensure that these are, you are able to register these, maybe by end of week or next week. There are cases of students finding that they were registered elsewhere, yet they did not do it. What will they do? Because we cannot transfer a learner who does not know the lien. If these students have already been added to EMIS and they have gone to another school, yes, they can be transferred. And if you can share their details or the school they were in, then we should be able to identify them and then you can transfer them to the other school. Because we have their liens, if they, at least the students know the school they came from. So that should be the starting point. The other alternative, they need to share with us their parents' names. Then we can search the system to know which school they were in and how to transfer them if they have forgotten. Please give us more knowledge about transferring a learner from one school to another. Currently, there is a menu under learners called the learner transfer, but you must know the lien of each learner. Of course, in the near future, we shall also add the name, since it is going to be the unique identifier. So you need to know the lien, but also as you try to transfer, you also need to indicate the name of the parent or the person who asked for this student to be transferred. So you need to have the NIN of the student you want to transfer and also the NIN of the parent or guardian that has authorized the transfer. So the transfer otherwise is a very easy operation. Once you have those two, it is automatic. The learner will move from the other school to this school. And the school where the learner has moved, you should be able to see that that is an outbound student. And the one where the student has come, you'll see that as an inbound student. So if the other school where the learner was transferred from has a complaint, it can easily see that my learner from my school went to this other school. So if they have any other issue of follow-up, then they should be able to follow up with the other school. It seems some schools are entering data without checking students' names, and when the right student comes, the message is that the index number is already registered. Yes, a lot of people have entered wrong index numbers and they've ended up with students who don't belong to their schools. We shall enable editing so that you are able to edit all this and put correct index numbers. Mr. Dunga, are we done or you are bringing more?
Oh, I'm bringing more. And probably we shall, after this, we shall go to the physical hands because our time is also running out. So we are at they are learners without NIN. Please give us more knowledge. It seems schools are entering data without checking student names. And when the right student comes, the message is that the index is already registered.
Can we go to 143950?
No, that one you finished for.
Yeah.
Okay.
143950?
Yes.
In case the child is an orphan and guardians do not have the NIN, what can be best done? I think, Vincent, you will answer that one. You better note it down because we will need to have a decision on where parents and guardians don't have NINs. What do we do? The system is really configured to ensure at least one of the guardians, or maybe we can also include relatives, I'm not sure, but someone must have a NIN in that community or somewhere. So Mr. Dung, maybe, and Vincent, you will also shed some light on that. The system does not log in. I think that one is having a challenge with login credentials. Please share your challenge on WhatsApp and email, and we'll see how to help you. Can we be able to install the software like that one of UNEP? Yes, we are working on the software, which will also work like that one of UNEP. Maybe in a couple of 2 to 3 weeks should be ready, and then it should solve that problem you are facing. But as of now, it's not yet ready. But you can use Excel to work offline and then come and upload online. That's why we created the Excel. Can we be able? Okay, it is the same question. Thank you for the answer. My question still is register senior 6 and senior 4 students as well, or we continue dealing with senior 1 and senior 2. I think you need to register all the students from senior 1 to senior 6 because the deadline is coming. Yes, the priority is still senior 1 and senior 2, but also other classes are needed as well as quickly as possible. The entire school is needed. I am Alunyi Toby Moses, a teacher to move. Okay. The system rejected the data I submitted, saying that the template didn't meet the security standard. Yes, if you try to copy and put data in the Excel, or you change anything for some reason, or you try to create your own Excel, definitely the system will reject this. Or if you try to use Excel from another school, because we noticed a lot of schools were using service providers and they were mixing up students. So now the Excel that you download from your account is specifically for your school. So if it gets corrupted, then you'll have to re-download another one, copy the data and put it in a new one. And also we noticed that some of you are using very, very old Office application. So you find someone is using Office XP or Office 2007. That's more than almost 20 years ago. So that technology really it is very hard to support. So if you generate Excel from that Excel or rather Office, it will have challenges uploading it in the system. So please update your Office, maybe to the latest, which is maybe 2013. 2013 is still very old, but at least we try to stop at 2013. And then you should be able to get the Excel uploaded without any security issues. Learners who are rejected are either having wrong parent names or they have wrong index numbers and other details or incomplete data. So make sure the Excel is properly filled. There are fields like, for example, does the learner have a name? You have to answer yes or no. Is the learner an orphan? You have, if not, you have to put NA. So those are the commonly omitted fields in Excel that makes the Excel get rejected by the system. What happens when a registered learner dies? Are we in a position to delete the information? Or I've not heard of this question before. That's a strange one, but I do not have an answer right now to this one. Maybe the colleagues in the meeting will help, or, also give an idea. But when the learner dies, I think in the next enrollment, we will have to mark them as I think we will work with the commission and others to see how we put a status on how to update someone, a learner who is known to have died, or so that we don't regard them as school dropout. I think maybe other colleagues will shed light on that one as well. What happens to learners who gave wrong PL index numbers and the system gave them names? Yes, those ones I mentioned that we are going to enable the deleting function so that you are able to delete and put the right learners. We have uploaded bigger number and even submitting, but some still, and you find that the number is not the same as you submitted. Yes, when you submit learners, we do a lot of checks. We check with a lot of things to do with the NINs, with the NIRA, with everything. So you might upload, say, 500 learners, and you find only 300 are successful because the others are having wrong details. So you have to make sure that all the learners are having correct details. And then the other thing, when you have uploaded learners, you can go to the main menu and go to learners and export them back in Excel and scrutinize your data to see those who are missing, and then you rectify their details and upload again. They sent me names of learners whom I don't have in my school. I think I already answered this. You'll be able to delete those once we enable the delete function. From Chamate Ntungamo, some learner index numbers failed to verify it. Those from the same primary school verified even after uploading them using Excel, they failed. I think the index numbers will fail one, either they are below 2015 or they have already been registered by other schools. So for those ones, if they continue to fail and they don't fall under those two categories, please use the WhatsApp and share them, and then we take a look at those. This goes to some of our learners already registered by other schools. Yes, when we enable delete, you will be able to register those. 3 learners were registered but don't appear on the system. No, those ones were never registered, because if they are registered, they will appear. So please check their details to ensure that they are complete and all the details are okay, and then those learners can be uploaded again. Are you scrolling down again, Mr. Dungu? Okay. Whereas the other one is coming, maybe I can be going through others. Okay, let me wait for the notepad. Some teachers details fail to save on the system even uploading the Excel. I think that problem has been solved. Please try to upload them again, and they should be able to upload now. What happens to male learners whose data is correct, but the system brings feedback as female? Now, I assume that is secondary. You will need to share with us those index numbers on WhatsApp, and we cross-check why males are becoming female. You hurried us so much by giving a number of deadlines. We need enough time. I think the commissioner and the PS will comment on that later on. Deleting teachers mistakenly put in the wrong school is a challenge. I think when we enable editing of teachers and learners, you will be able to delete this data to ensure you remain with those teachers who belong to your school. There is a community secondary which applied for EMIS, and erroneously put that it was government aided, yet not yet. How do we make it private? Please share the data application on the WhatsApp, and then we can quickly rectify that. I think we have seen other like 4 cases, but that should be easy to correct. Deleting teachers mistakenly, I think I mentioned that we are going to enable editing. When I upload learners and teachers, they show only a few after sending to me. What do I do? Please ensure that all the correct details in the Excel are input. Otherwise, those without correct details will be ignored or rejected, and those who have correct details are the ones who will be sent to NIRA. International schools are not being put into consideration because the categories are for national. I think this is not entirely correct. We have more than how many? Let me cross-check the number of international schools as of today. As of today, we have 36 international schools which have got EMIS numbers and registered on the system. Now, what I noticed, a number of international schools don't know their EMIS numbers, because I have seen some of them applying for EMIS numbers again when they already have. So maybe, Mr. Dungo, after here, we can link up with the person in charge of international schools and private schools to share with the international schools their EMIS numbers, so that they are able to create accounts and upload learners. So we have already a number of international schools who have uploaded learners. So yes, international schools are catered for, and the system is not only for national schools. I request that you add a button to check where a learner is registered so that we can retrieve lien and transfer the learner to our school. I think we'll discuss how we do that, because I think the other day I received a question from one of the parents and says, how can I check that my daughter is registered in EMIS? And unfortunately, we hadn't put that provision on the system, but I think this is a genuine request. We shall discuss with the team and see how to enable that. Refugee student details have to be uploaded on where I'm not sure whether that is a question, but I did explain a couple of things on refugee learners. Primary schools nowadays have pre-primary sections, but registered as primary. What's their fate? Now, this is something I think the ministry has been establishing. Most government schools, you did establish nursery schools or pre-primary. Now, remember, pre-primary and the primary are 2 different schools or sections. Government does not own pre-primary schools, and I know majority of the schools have actually attempted to upload nursery schools into P1, either to qualify for capitation grant, I'm not sure, but the learners of pre-primary, you have to get to register your pre-primary section and get an EMIS number, and then upload the learners in pre-primary accordingly. So do not mix pre-primary learners with those of primary. The registration of the pre-primary and getting the IMIS number has been automated, as Vincent mentioned. If you apply today or this evening, you never know if the DO approves, then tomorrow morning you could have your IMIS number approved and you are good to go. I think kindly add WhatsApp. No, we are going 1455. How shall we handle those learners who would come in next year and they were not registered by IMIS? Let alone, I think Vincent will mention something to do with IMIS calendar. IMIS will be updated on a timely basis, and you will be updating the enrollment, and there will be functionality to add learners who are coming in afresh. But for those who have already registered, you only need to do a transfer. Those coming in afresh, there will be a mechanism on how to capture them. Some mistake was made on a learner. They entered their date of birth. I think, as I mentioned, this is going to be corrected once we enable full editing. Senior 2 students, when you try to enter their information, they say learner is already registered. Yes, that means another school mistakenly registered the index number of that learner, and that shall be corrected when we allow the schools to delete learners who don't belong to their schools. Colleagues, I think you moved down. Oh, that is the end. Okay.
Okay, it's not the end, but we shall rest you a bit so that Vincent takes over for now as I get the next charts.
Yes.
From 1456-13 going downwards. Over to you, Vincent. Is your phone on? Okay, as Vincent comes, friends, we may not answer all the questions in the chat. We want you to paraphrase them by showing your hand. We will ask you to speak, but let's give Vincent time to respond.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dungu and David, for answering those issues coming from our principal respondents. Colleagues, there are a number of issues. One, what happens to a learner whose guardian or parent don't have names? Members, the purpose of IMIS currently is to uniquely identify our learners, okay? And we would ideally do it with the name. But we know there are quite a number of learners who don't have names. So as a check, the only alternative is to ensure that the lien of a learner has to correspond with a number that can be verifiable, and that is the NIN. This issue even came up, and NIRA was able to tell us if there is any person without a NIN, they can easily be registered. Just go to the NIRA office. They have open offices in the different local governments. Then you get registered. So we want to encourage you to register and have names so that our learners are all put on the system. But we want to study the magnitude of the problem and then see how we could perhaps go around it. But for now, you need to have an identifier as a parent. Then what happens is when a learner dies, I think this is something we had not thought of. But as David said, we are going to have an IMIS calendar and we are updating this data timely. So we should be able to create a status of the learner. And one of the options should be learner passed on, because we are trying to track learners through the education system. So if a learner dies, we should be able to know that this learner actually passed on. Making a school government or private after you entered the data. One thing that we should know, this is a national data system, and we have audit trail on what happens on the system. So, and we are audited, okay? This system is audited. So, save for the period we will give to make some corrections, but deleting of information, there must be clear evidence, okay? Why you are deleting a learner, why you are changing the status of the institution, because you are the head teacher, you have approved and allotted this information. So going forward, some of these changes, you may have to write officially to the PS, and then we have evidence why these changes are supposed to be made. And as we move along, we are going to have an MIS policy. Currently, the policy has been passed by top management, and as soon as it goes through the approval processes up to cabinet, then we will have very clear regulations and guidelines on the do's and don'ts of the various users of the system at all levels. Okay, so I thought this is very, very important. Some schools don't know their MSc numbers. First of all, if a school is already on the system, we should be able to just go to the MS portal and easily search your MS number. There is a search function. You put in the level of the education institution, whether primary, secondary, and then you put the administrative units, and it will give you the schools that are available in that parish, okay? But otherwise, the international schools will have them with their MS numbers. This information can quickly be shared such that people know their MS numbers, okay? And then the issue of primary schools with attached pre-primary or nursery schools. These are two schools, okay? Primary, pre-primary must have its own MS number. And if it doesn't, you go through the processes of requesting for an MS number, and it will be given, so that you clearly separate pre-primary learners from primary learners. Otherwise, you are going to distort the statistics for the indicators we really want to compute at the national or sub-national level, or even local government level. So I think that's it. And then the issue, we have had reports that there are some schools that are actually registering these learners, pre-primary learners, in P1, okay? I think you are doing a disservice to the learner, but also the school, okay? Because what is going to happen, and you should know, we will be doing verification exercises, okay? Because you have put learners on the system, we will just get spot checks, come to your school with the list, and we ask you where the learners are. Okay, the same applies to schools that are trying to register learners from private schools. There are some government schools that try to register learners from private schools in order to boost their enrollment. Again, that is a mistake. So I urge you to do the right thing so that we don't fall into problems as we move along. And finally, from me is we are going to have an MS calendar, which defines the the different events of EMIS activities for the different users through the academic year. Okay. Already we have the academic year defined recently. So we are going to fit the EMIS term into this so that we are able to have data that is comprehensive. And the learners was just the starting point, okay? But you have a lot of variables that schools have to provide, okay? And also there are reports that schools should be able to view, that district DEOs, local government should be able to view, and then us at the national level. So we should be able to make use of this information to inform management at all levels of the education system. So I think that's it from me. Back to you, Mr. Du.
Thank you, Vincent. David, we are back to you, but this time with the hands. So I'll ask Sophia to unmute. Sophia, unmute. Sophia, are you there? Can you unmute? Okay, Johnson Kusima, can you unmute? Johnson?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam. This is Johnson Kusima Bangana, CEO of Ima City. I have just two observations. The information we have is that EMIS is going to cater for licensing of schools and registration. And we've been having our schools applying manually using files. And when thereafter is this stopping so that we go in for licensing and registration? Is it now or beginning with 2023? Should we continue receiving the manual applications or we go immediately? Then the second one is an observation, which was an omission on that side. That is training of head teachers in this exercise, because that is why deadlines are not being met. The DEOs were trained late and they also experienced this. But at least now we are coming on board, we know what to do because we are trained in our regions. But it also took a time. And finally, EMIS is a very important program for this country. And really, I pray that this time it doesn't stall because it has enormous advantages. And if we are to go by it, we really appreciate, and the ministry should continue, bring on board everybody so that our systems can get improved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnson. I will ask Vincent to respond to the licensing of schools. When is that module going to be rolled out? How ready is the module?
The ministry, as you rightly put it, is automating most of the processes to ensure efficiency in the service delivery. It is true we have the licensing and the registration module and even other modules, as we shall see. And we are working with the user departments to ensure that we roll out these systems. Next week, we are having a senior management specifically on EMIS, and we're going to devise strategies to ensure that we fast track rollout of these modules. So we are going to soon communicate.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. So you've heard that the process is on. We may not be sure that we shall start in term one, but surely in 2023 somewhere, the private schools and institutions department should stop collecting files like that, but in some other way to ensure that the online module is implemented. Why we are here is for us to learn and go and train other head teachers. And at the end of today, we are going to encourage you and your DEOs to arrange head teacher trainings from the 28th to 2nd December. That week is for head teacher training. So my friend, CEO, you should now know that it is your time to organize, cascade this training. The questions highlighted here and the answers will be in the recording for you to revise as you prepare for this training. So that is why we are committing you on this call. And that's why we have put up the district support teams so that you do the last mile for now as we continue. But we shall keep giving you trainings to make sure that you are well empowered to do this. Quickliza Sam, can you unmute? Quickliza, try to unmute. Sophia, you can put down your hand. It looks like Sophia is not there anymore. Quickliza Sam, continue.
Thank you so much. This is Fikiriza Sam from Kawale Quality Primary School. I thank you for this initiative of EMIS. My concern is about these two things. I would like you to throw some light on the steps to be taken to upload the group passport photos for learners who are already uploaded using the Excel sheet. So if you want to upload the learners' photos like for the whole school, how do you do it to match with what you have already submitted? Another one is this issue of training the head teachers by us who have already trained. I don't know how we shall organize because it automatically needs some facilitation and some organization. It looks we need to be guided on how to handle this. Otherwise, I thank you so much and wish you the best. Thank you.
David, you want to take that down? The first one?
Thank you. I think let me answer this one of Sam.
Yes.
The issue of uploading photographs. We did
Yes.
put a functionality for bulk upload of images, but of course, unfortunately, schools prepared very large photos, and you'll find the school zips and one file is 2 GB. Now, with the speed of the internet you have in those areas, you cannot upload 2 GB very fast. Maybe here in Kampala, we can do that. So that file will fail. Now, most of you, what you need to do, if you say you have 1,000 learners, divide those in about, say, 4 files and zip them and then upload. So how do you get to match the photographs of the learners with the data already uploaded? So after uploading learners, you will find that when you go to your main menu and you go under learners and say view learners, you are able to see all your learners with the links and everything. So what you do, you click export. That will export an Excel file and give you all the learners in your school with their corresponding links. Now you go to the photos, the digital photos folder, and rename each photo with the corresponding link of the learner. So if the photo was ABCD JPEG, you name it lin.jpg. Now, after that, those photos, zip them. Just zip a few of them at a time, and then use the bulk image upload, and you will successfully upload all your images, and they will match with the learners you have already uploaded. I hope that answers Sam's query.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I just have a supplement. I wanted to know the minimum space, or you said if it is like 2 GB, that's too much. How much is minimum, so that when I see that is like some MBs that can be zipped like that.
Just about, maybe don't go about to above maybe 10 MB or even 20 MB. Don't go above that.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, David, and thank you, Sam, for the questions. Now, Sam, the
Yes.
training for teachers, you are going to work with the DEOs. The DEOs we are trained. We have tried to train some schools to support the DEOs. You are going to work with the DEOs. What's going to happen is that we are going to ask the PS to write a circular to the DEOs to make sure that they cascade the training they received and make use of you in the training of all head teachers. And all this must be done within that week I have mentioned, so that we can beat the deadline of 9th December. I hope that is clearer now, Sam.
Thank you, it's very clear.
Toma from Arua, please unmute. Sam, close out. Toma, unmute.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Yes, we
Yes,
can
my
hear
name
you.
is Etoma. My name is Etoma from Arua City. I first of all want to thank you for this training. I think it's a very important training for us, especially considering the importance of using this system to manage the school information. I really want us to take it in a way that this information is going to be helpful to us as a schools in managing information, not only to submit information to our ministry, but also to manage the data of the learners, to be able to understand our children, to have a better statistics of the children that we have. A few of my concern here is that one, I would really want to request that if this system could be translated or changed like the one for UNEB, in a way that it can be, the data can be uploaded offline, not necessarily only the Excel, where there's a provision to add the learners individually. You have the portal like registering the pupils for P7, then you can be able to upload them maybe later on. I have seen the Excel version of it, especially for some of our schools that try to see that we try to put this information, because the legality of this information, which will bring any problem, will come back to head teachers, require that really the head teacher must know what is happening, other than using service providers who will simply put information for the sake of getting the money, which is something which is going to be very dangerous, especially for schools, when the parents will now begin to get into legal issues if the details of the children in the schools are not correct. So that's my humble appeal, that if the system could be moved in such a way. I would also want to request that perhaps as trainers, we should be issued with the manual. If we could have the manual that we would be able to read through, we see, because there are certain things that we may not be able to understand all from this training, but from getting to the manual, reading it and preparing ourselves, I think we will make ourselves better as trainers, especially when we shall be dealing with the head teachers. I have another concern on the issue of the deadline, which is given 9. I want to believe that many of our schools have huge challenges. One, some of our schools do not even have computers in this country. That is even a greater percentage of schools, especially primary schools, do not have these computers. And some of them, even if they have the computers, they do not have, they cannot even, there are places where there are no networks. Even a phone network is a problem. So if we could be given an ample time for the preparation, for me, this year has been a good learning point. And many of the things we have been asking our colleagues, and even from this training today, I have gotten to understand much more better things. But I want to believe that if we would give it much more time, other than limiting it to 9th, then we would acquaint ourselves with information, and maybe perhaps next year we would start better. I also wanted to propose that maybe effective next year, this could be incorporated with the academic matters. Maybe results of learners could be in it in a proper way, so that the schools could use this as part of their actually system for registering intake of new learners should be done through the system. It will be a better thing. I particularly love that that part where there are transfer of learners from one school to another. This helps us to help learners even when they move from one school to another. We can have a follow-up of them, and will help our learners to grow. In general, I would like to appreciate the training today, and I want to hope that we shall have a better intervention if we continue to move in this way, and given it time that we will have the training. My colleagues already talked about the need to train head teachers and also to make them to understand the legality behind this. But I want us to really consider the issue of time so that they will be able to understand this and they don't make unnecessary errors which will bring problems for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. David, you are going to answer a few and leave out the others. I know the issue of deadline, the PS will be joining soon. So after her communication, that could come back to her so that she takes it to the senior management for decision making. But David?
Thank you, Mr. Dungu. I think let me go through Mr. Thomas' queries. I will specifically answer the one of offline system. I think I had earlier mentioned that we have developed an application like that of UNEB. We are in the final stages of getting it done, and soon it will be out. So that answers your request. Soon you'll be sorted. And then the issue of user manuals, yes, there are user manuals for all education levels, all the way from pre-primary, primary, secondary, certificate awarding, diploma, including the university. So these manuals are available, and we shall be sharing them on the WhatsApp groups, but also we'll upload them on the portal so that they can easily be downloaded.
Thank you.
I think the other will be answered by other colleagues, but I think the issue of adding the admission law on IMIS, well, it might make sense, but then for now, it is not in the plan for the development of IMIS, but then those are some of the new enhancements that can be added on IMIS in the near future. Of course, it would
maybe perhaps lastly, the use of the school system, like when you're opening the portal, I agree on the issue of using the IMIS numbers, but when it comes to emails and telephone numbers, for instance, private schools, you have a nursery school, you have a primary school. Most of these nursery schools are attached to a primary school. Now, the system requires that once you have used one email, you don't have to use that email again. I'll really request that if, for instance, for the ownership of schools, if the system could allow that an email that has been used could also be, for instance, you have a nursery school, you have a primary school. So to open up two different email addresses for nursery and primary, sometimes in information management, we will be scattering information for even telephone numbers required of a director. Maybe you require two different telephone numbers. So that's something I would really want to request that could be also corrected.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Itoma, you are partly correct, because we have received that complaint from some of your colleagues. But again, the reason we separated these emails were again due to the mix-up of information. Now, for you, the way you sound like you are really conversant with these things, and but they are your colleagues who actually get that of pre-primary, then log in the primary, then, mix up several other things. So we thought that if you put the pre-primary and primary under one portal, then we are going to have a lot of mix up, which again causes data issues. So these are some of the things we've debated and tried to see what is the best possible way. Then also recall that emails, people who administer these schools change. So today you are a headmaster at primary X or secondary, tomorrow they transfer you to another. That's why we've been asking specifically that everyone uses a school email. In fact, when you are creating an IMIS account, we automatically create two accounts for you. One is called an institution account, and another one is called school contact account. Both contacts can upload data and do everything, but the institutional account is the one which has an admin kind of rights that can even create more accounts. So in other words, at the school, you could even end up having 5 accounts under one school. But the institutional account can deactivate or activate some of those accounts. Now, if we don't use email, we could have used IMIS number as the username. Like, for example, the way you log in at UNEB using your IMIS number and password. But the challenge with that is that we would have challenges of impersonation, people logging into other people's accounts just because they know your IMIS number and password. But now specifically on this email, you realize that when you are creating this account, we asked you to input an OTP or one-time password, confirm that actually you own this email. Even we had activated that every time you log in, we send an OTP to your email to confirm that you have access to the email. You are not accessing some others people's system and you're going to change their data. So the changing of emails and using one email is a debate again. We shall have to sit together with the team here and discuss and see how to provide you with the best user experience on IMIS. Of course, we do not want to develop a procedure on the system which makes you uncomfortable. So the best is to sit down and discuss and ensure that everyone is happy. But it is something we shall look into. But as of now, it is not yet there, so you'll have to be using a different email. So
thank you, I do appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay.
Over to you, Mr. Dungu.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know we are running late. We are expecting the PS to be joining anytime. She's running late in another meeting, but the moment she's here, we shall stop this session. Otherwise, we set to work up to 4:30 and our time is running low. So if your questions are not answered, please put them in the chat. We shall take them back to the WhatsApp group. And David and others are here to help us with that. Mr. Toma, close your microphone. Akunguzibwe Kenneth, open your microphone, Kenneth. Kenneth, try again. Kenneth, are you managing?
Yeah, Kenneth Abgizibwe from Hoima.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for this good deliberation and causing this meeting. My concern is on 2 issues. One, I think when that time comes for closing the EMIS, having the EMIS calendar, time will be there for people, for maybe proprietors of schools and head teachers to upload the learners or update it. But there are instances when you find that there are situations when parents are transferred, like especially those who are employed and they move with their families. I feel if there could be an opportunity for such a kind of parents also to have their children enrolled on that in the system, even when that the calendar maybe has closed. Or maybe you give a provision for genuine reasons, that's why someone should be brought on board, even when that time had elapsed. Another one is on the issue of you have talked about some people may not be genuine, and there's also politics in schools, especially private schools. You find maybe some parents are not in good terms, they are conflicting, and you find the child is being transferred time and again because of reasons beyond the child's control. How will the system also be used so that can limit such a kind of unnecessary transfers? Because I see the system only requires the person initiating the transfer, and that is the name. And when that one is done, then it is initiated. I feel that something should be done on that side so that students are not transferred time and again. Thank you.
Okay, David, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think I can respond to the issue of transfer.
let me request the teachers who have the link to the WhatsApp group, please copy it and put it in the chat. Even the registration link, copy it and put it in the chat. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, David.
Yeah, I think what Kenneth is mentioning on transfers, it is what we have been discussing. You know, originally we had designed IMIS to ensure that the learner transfer, the originating school approves or something, but then of course, when we shared originally with senior management, they thought the ministry was entering into operation of schools, and they said, please, can you ensure IMIS does not create restrictions? And that's why we opened the system to require that you need a lien or a NIN to transfer learner, including the person or the guardian or parent who has authorized the transfer. So the alternative they suggested was the school where the learner has left. If it has any other issue with the transfer, then it would take it up with the parents, including the other school, without involving the ministry so much into the nitty-gritty of transfers. So, but otherwise, what Kenneth raises is a genuine concern and a necessary transfer. Like any other system or procedure put in place, it will always have what we call advantages and disadvantages. So you try to do something good, but some people take advantage of it. So Kenneth, I don't know how we can resolve this or have a perfect procedure that people will not abuse. The issue of registering learners during the IMIS calendar when people have been shifted to another location, I think that shouldn't be a problem. Again, that is handled through learner transfer if the learners have already been registered on IMIS. In case the deadline closes and they have not been registered in IMIS, like you mentioned, if parents are shifting, that is a genuine concern, which we will work together with the DO to ensure that such learners are added in IMIS. I hope that addresses your concern, Kenneth.
Okay, thank you, David. Samuel. Samuel? Samuel, unmute yourself if you can.
Yeah, I have.
Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, colleagues.
Good afternoon.
My name is Samuel Orogot from Soroti. I want to thank the ministry for bringing this issue of IMIS. I know at one time the ministry had tried this exercise and they brought cards down to schools, expecting schools to have assigned numbers learners, but I think it didn't work out. For us in Soroti City, I want to thank the management of Soroti City Council, because immediately the thing came, as we were beginning up this term, they engaged some of the staff in the ministry and they sent us those leaflets which looked like in the phone. And we did organize training for head teachers in Soroti City at the beginning of this term. So when teachers were taken through, and the head teachers, all levels, nursery, primary, secondary, tertiary institutions, and other international schools. But unfortunately, we don't have one here in Soroti. When we did that training, head teachers went back and they also did what? Start the exercise. But the challenges that my colleagues are sharing here are the very challenges they were meeting. Instead, what did happen? They were running to us. How do we go about this? How do we go about this? And we kept on engaging part of the staff there. Some of them would give us guidance through WhatsApp. There's a time when I think other things went out of hand. They also put off all their phones. So we could not access. But fortunately, when we had a training this way in Bale regional training, we met some of them there and they helped us. So by that time, we were proudly having 32,000 learners that were uploaded in the system. But now the challenge was on the staff. Most schools are not uploading the staff, and I think they need to be sensitized, because most schools, when you try to upload the staff, they themselves are negative about it. Then some schools have uploaded about 80 90%, 60%. But the challenge is some learners are not bringing the information. When they try to engage learners and the parents are not compliant. So I don't know what the ministry can do. Fine, the education, how do I call it? The staff in the districts, like town clerk, COW, DIS, DO, those ones have undergone the training. But it also needed not even a training for this, but these political leaders needed to be given what? Some information so that they can help in mobilization. Because now you get the layman in the village, say, me, I don't want it. My child was registered last time by NIRA. Those people are disturbing me. Why do you want my NIN number? So some parents are not giving their NIN numbers, and they are bogging some schools, because you get a school with 1,000 learners, 800 have given in. The other 200, the parents are not compliant. They request them to come to school to give the information. They don't actually come. They say they are committed, they have no time. So I don't know how and what the ministry will do to help in the mobilization of the public to join in this. At least we have come down to schools, to the teachers, to the skilled staff in the councils. But now the problem is the community still needs to be mobilized. I would maybe request that let the ministry design a modality on how these media houses, media papers, all social medias can pass this information to the parents so that parents can come in to support. Otherwise, that is what I felt I wanted to share, but I wanted to clear the doubt from my colleagues. All those that you are raising are workable situations, because at least I've employed the system for quite a number, because I became a small consultant for the region. And most people would run to me, and whatever challenge they had, we successfully managed to get a solution through the system. All those uploads of photos, all those things, we can do it. And like somebody was answering, somebody who had asked, I think from Arua, about the GBs what. But when you put these photos per class, the highest school for us here in Soweto SS, it has about 7,000 learners, close to that. But in a class, they're about 200 something, because they are streamed. So they go down to uploading photos according to streams. Because when you upload senior one, but in senior one, they have maybe 5 streams. So they go to upload them in streams. And when you go to streams like that, the number becomes small. Even accuracy will be there. Than you wanting to upload 1,000 at one time there, it might not become what? Easy. So uploading them according to class, and all that is in the system, because the system will direct you to upload the photos class by class. So otherwise, I thank you very much for giving me this chance, and I wish all the others good deliberations. Thank you.
Samuel, have you joined our WhatsApp group for district support schools?
I am in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's do the magic there and support everyone to make sure that we can get this done.
Yeah, I know we can make it, because all those challenges I see colleagues raising on WhatsApp, they are workable solutions, challenges.
Friends, I want us to take many more before the PS logs on. So Chamate Ntungamo. Samuel, close your mic. Chamate Ntungamo. Ntungamo Chamate, go ahead. Okay, Bernard Niwagaba. It would have been good if people were naming themselves by local government or by school. Niwagaba, try to open. Chamate, close.
Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon, members. Nwaga Bernard is my name, and I'm a teacher support St. Charles Ruanga SS Bukere Mukono. I want to first of all thank David for his approach to answering over queries that we are there on WhatsApp, and we have been deliberating over them, and some had solutions, but some He has elaborated them more. However, my issues are still where he said that some of the data is entered wrongly. For example, there's still information that comes when you enter the student and doesn't go, and they tell you the student is already registered. Me, some of the students that I have, for example, for A level, are from the school O level class. So the numbers, the index numbers, we know them. They have been progressing with us. Now they are in senior 5, but they still show us that the student is already registered. So that one, I don't think is because of the wrong data, but because there is some error somewhere which must be rectified. Then the other issue that I wanted to raise is that when you enter individual on staff on human resource, when you enter by individual to add a teacher, when you go to editing, there is need for responsibility. Those responsibilities cannot be edited here. They don't enter when you use editing. But when you go to the Excel sheet, the information is there. Although when you enter them by uploading, the information does not come for the staff. You actually enter them by individual adding of the staff. So I think that also the area of responsibility and add the staff and see how we can work on it to enter the information there on editing. Then the other, as some of the colleagues were saying, we have issues on the questions that we do or present. Like, for example, when you enter the staff member will ask you all this information for what? Do you need our information? The same applies to the public, the parents, and others. Then the other question that I have seen evidence today is students asking, what evidence do we have that we have been registered? Yes, they have the RIN numbers, but the teachers don't have anything to show that the information has been received or registered. It remains with us in our document, unless you show him that this is you and this is the information that you provided. But they are asking questions of why register them. Number two, what shows that I have been registered? I think we need also to find a solution to that and see whether it can also be solved. Then, of course, as Samuel says, the staff have been negative, and not only the staff, but all of us outside there in the public. Although we have tried to tell them the information and as to why it is needed, so we need that manual. As some, I think it is a teacher from Arua. We need that manual to explain to the public exactly why this activity is being done and the importance of having their information within the database of the Ministry of Education. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. They are really comprehensive questions. As David prepares, ladies and gentlemen, we've just got message from the PS that should be joining in, that we hold on, we don't leave. Give us the time. Let's take your questions until then, because we really want her to speak to you, and she has been preparing for this. So David, Bernard, mute yourself. David.
Thank you, Bernard. I will go straight to the issue of the students being in the same school are close, but then the system says they are already registered. So this is what happens. When someone puts a wrong index number, it doesn't matter whether the students are within the same school or not. Someone, let's say in Arua, will put the index number of the student who is in your school and register them only to realize that they have registered the wrong student. So whether the students are in this have been through the same school or not, they will still be affected. But as I mentioned, once we activate the deleting and the full editing of the students, this problem should be solved. Now, the other issue is that Bernard raises is the issue of just a second. Is the issue of editing responsibility of staff on web form. I think you should be able to edit responsibility, because I just helped someone in registering the staff and I could actually choose the responsibility. And unless you're saying that after registering the teacher, if you want to edit, then the responsibility is not editable. But that one will check through it. The issue of teacher sensitization, again, I think this someone else will communicate on this, maybe Vincent. I think this responsibility is going to go to the head teacher to ensure that the school community understands the role and why IMIS data is needed. So a head teacher should engage the staff room and see that actually teachers appreciate and know the importance of this. For example, some of the IMIS indicators or reports that we shall be calculating what we call, for example, the people to teacher ratio. Previously, you would ask a school, how many teachers do you have? Now, some of this data was not correct, but this time, we are saying put the actual details of the teachers, then the system will calculate the total number of teachers, and then we can auto-calculate the pupils to or student-teacher ratio automatically. So that's why some of this information is needed to ensure that we do not have any inflated or forged information. That's why we need details of the teacher. The other issue, teacher registration confirmation, yes, you are correct. And like learners where we are giving maybe a lien and later on when they issue in, we shall have maybe a registration certificate or something. I think for teachers also to confirm that they are in IMIS, we are going to think of something that we can easily send to them so that they can confirm that now they have been fully registered in IMIS. So it's a good observation, I think we should take into consideration. Over to you, Mr. Dung.
Martin Mulumba. Okay, wait, Martin, wait to unmute. Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Dungu. On the issue of user manual, this is very important. We have had, actually for local governments, by now they should be having their user manuals. And our next step really is to publish the user manuals for institutions so that you are able to be helped while using the system. So don't worry, this one is going to be sorted out.
Martin Mulumba, unmute. Martin Mulumba, can you, I know you have unmuted, can you speak? Okay, Padribo, unmute.
Thank you very much. I have one concern. First, I want to appreciate the ministry for coming up with this system. We are trying to see that through this intervention, our system of operation in education is going to improve as far as IMS data is concerned. There's one thing I want to put here as a concern is about the telephone numbers of the parents or the guardians. As the rural setting, men do not have this. And at times, when you add the other numbers, the number you may have may not even match with the name of the parent who is registered in that name using the NIN, and this gives a kind of variations into the details of the parents. Two, that's the first concern. Number two is about the attitude of the parents. You may find in some situations, even where I'm in a rural setup towards the western angle of Oro City. You may find some parents when you send a child with a form, and even the parent can't even adhere to follow the instructions which is on the form. And when you call them, they don't even bother to come. And at times it helps, it makes the child not to have an accurate information. And as such, this can give tendencies of variations in the data management. I would add that the use of manual here, which somebody put emphasis on, I also want to voice on it again that through this, we're able to give intel of such information to the parents so that they are able to understand actually what exactly is behind this image data which is required by the ministry. Here I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Padribo. David, is there anything to add?
I think about the parent phone numbers. Again, maybe let me mention why we need this information. You see, previously, the ministry in terms of communication was getting getting challenged. You realize the recent pandemic we had of Corona. If the ministry wanted to communicate to parents, they would have to rely on a radio, go on a radio, you speak, and then you assume someone is listening. But now with IMIS, we are hoping that if we have these contacts of parents, in an event of an urgent communication, the ministry, by press of a button, every parent would be informed of what is happening. And this could be by region, by school, by district or local government, depending on the urgency of the communication. So a correct phone number of the guardian or parent is very, very, very important, because that will make sure that even you, the head teachers, or even the district, if you want to communicate to these parents, it is way much easier. The issue of mobilizing the parents' attitudes, again, somebody from Soroti exhausted this or explained how parents are a bit stubborn. Yes, in any society, we have stubborn people. And believe me, parents are no exception. Even when he knows something which is obvious, he will want to be stubborn. As somebody mentioned, this will take a bit of engaging political leaders, and not only actually political leaders, including religious leaders. I always find the churchmen and mosque men very good at preaching some of these interventions, and people listen. So, Mr. Dungu, we might have to engage political leaders as well as religious leaders as well to improve on this sensitization as much as possible. So the parent attitude is not something, and unfortunately, we can change in a day, but it is a process. But as Dungu mentioned, the PS is coming, and I think some of the things she might communicate about are related to what we call sanctions for non-compliance. And these sanctions will require both affect either school, the teacher, or the parent, because if you fail to give us information of the learner, then how is this learner, for example, going to sit your neighbor in the near future or examinations? So again, some of these parents, these are some of the things you need to let them know, that non-compliance today will definitely affect your learner in the near future. I hope other colleagues can again supplement on this.
Okay, thank you, David. I just want to re-echo the fact that we are here not by chance. We are here because we have decided as teams, as schools, that we are going to support the other schools. We are going to work with the DEOs to see how all this sensitization of the different stakeholders is done in your district. And you will come up with an action plan. You will come up with those radio communications. What we want to hear from the districts going forward is the action plan, and what do you want us to do at the center to make sure that that action plan happens. So the DEO representatives who are here, please let them know that the teams are being created to support them. The teams that are here, we are asking you to become very friendly to the DEOs. Some of you, the DEOs listed you, others you have come out to help. For example, on your WhatsApp group, we shall provide information of schools that we know are in the system with an EMIS number, but they've never started. And we want you to locate them and talk to them with the DEO about starting, okay? And those schools should be the first schools to come for that meeting that we are talking about. But also, we have DEOs that are not responding, and we are going to ask you to go and visit the DEO. If you are in Kampala City, we want you to go to KCCA so that you talk to the KCCA education officers and tell them there are schools that have applied for EMIS, but you have not approved them. We want them to approve, because when we call, we are far from them. They say we are going to do it and they're not doing it. So we are asking you to do a bigger job than you are imagining. So please think deeper that you are here as God given to us to support the system up to the last person. So I request you, ladies and gentlemen, to think deeper about the role of supporting other schools that we are asking you to do. Now, I have even many more hands coming up, but let me ask Chichoncho. Chichoncho, unmute. Chichoncho, unmute.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Huntington, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this engagement. I really appreciate. It is good and timely. My concern is about phone numbers. I am from school, and I have been assisting some other schools also from one district. But you would find you are working some forms and the numbers of parents are not there. So when you like the head teacher would be like, put there my contract phone accounts. So I really wanted you to talk about the issue of phone numbers and the head teachers saying, put my contact because the parents could not have the phone numbers. I think I don't know.
We lost him, or that was it from Huntington? Huntington, was that it?
No, I think that is it. He just muted the mic.
Anything for Huntington?
I think Mr. Dung, the issue of the headmaster substituting or putting his own phone number in the LAN as a parent, it is not the best, because again, as I said, when it comes to communication, all that communication will go to the headmaster. So if it is for temporary reasons, yes, maybe, but then would want to encourage duty when people are training or helping other schools to try as much as possible to get the correct contacts into the system. But for purposes of entering data, I think that substitution should maybe be done temporarily, but then should be able to edit it once you get the correct phone numbers. We will ensure that there is facility to edit that phone number or contact details of the parents as well.
Okay, thank you, David. I can see Naikima Michael. Naikima Michael. Okay. Katende Noah. You need to unmute yourself. Katende Noah. Whoever has finished speaking, can you put down your hand? Pasco Sentumbwe. Pasco Sentumbwe. Technopop. Okay. Magezi Moliro.
Thank you so much, our host. Mr.
Okay.
Dunga.
Okay, go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. Dung, for the opportunity, and colleagues, good afternoon. In the interest of time, I'll be very, very fast. Mine are only two. To appreciate this, the ministry and the brains behind this for the good opportunity. My only problem and worry is, for sure, even the system we are improving it. For big schools, my concern is the big schools. The information is just dripping in. The way you see that David is giving us that we're improving here by next week, by the other week, and so on, I believe even this deadline, Mr. David and Mr. Dong, we should think about it for big schools. As you're speaking, there's a Monday, this coming Friday, some learners, parents are still adamant. Our biggest problem, ladies and gentlemen, are the parents. They are still adamant. We need, I don't know, the minister should really think so hard how to bring the parents on board. That's why I'm requesting, if we could beat in phases, that by this time at least, beat to this percentage done. By 9, beat this percentage. Look at myself, I work from Kalangala, but my home is in Wakiso. Yes, as per now, I'm in Kalangala. Come Friday, I'll have to leave to go back to Wakiso. So it means when I'm on holiday, I may not be able to access with my learners, equally the parents. 2, Mr. Dung knows very well, he was a teacher. I know him myself as a preparatory teacher. We have teachers who have their government jobs, for example, in one station. Then he's also staff in some private school, okay, some other government school, but on PTA basis. How do we handle such a staff member when it comes to registering him as part of that school? Because he'll be double registered in school X on government payroll and in school Y as a staff member, but on PTA. That is almost the way in the country. So those are my two concerns. My biggest concern, I summarize, the deadline should be thought about. And lastly, my personal advice would be, if we could accomplish in phases fully, we say these classes first, then this and that, we summarize that. I thank you so much, Mr. Dungu. I have a blessed evening.
Okay, thank you, Pascal. Points noted. We really want to do our best. We really want to do our best. And the reason why now you have to put in the record of all learners so that we calculate the percentage entry. So that those big schools you are talking about that have 4,000, we can tell that they've done 20% or they've done 80%. That would be helpful. Let's reach out to all the head teachers who have never started. That is key, that everyone at least has logged on, has created a school account, has started the registration. The PS will be telling us as head teachers to write the right circular this term and ask for the right information you need urgently. Some of you, the learners are within reach of your school. They can go home, fill in the form and come back. Others, they just have to fill in the form there and then, okay? What we need to request you to do to make sure that the form you are asking them to fill in has all the fields that you want, so that you don't go back and forth. The pictures can be taken later, but the information, the learners, the lists should be in. So that is very critical. Like I said, the DEO and your teams should come up with a strategy of mobilizing your head teachers. And the mobilization week is that week just after we have closed, 28th to 2nd. We are going to work out a way of making sure we mobilize all the head teachers to know that there is this job we have to do, but do it completely. However, before we break off from this meeting, you are going to inform from your community, you have WhatsApp groups, you have head teachers associations, you are going to inform your head teachers to make sure that the circular talks about the EMIS requirements that are missing, so that the parents can understand why EMIS has come our way, what the advantages are, and this is the reason why we are holding such sessions. I can see members, please stop putting up more hands because now we are running late. We only have 9 minutes to the PS's speech. We have a record of questions. I don't know, David, if you have taken a glass of water, I would point to the questions that were in the chat so that you take the last 9 minutes. But if you still want us to use this method, I can still do that. What is the best for you, David?
I think this method, Mr. Dungu, is much easier because people give explanation.
Okay.
And I just wanted to quickly respond to Pasco regarding the moonlighting of teachers. Moonlighting, I guess that is teaching in more than one school.
And the government school included.
Yes, I want to allay the fears of teachers that for now, EMIS is not really about punishing all teachers who are teaching more than one school. I think we had a discussion at senior management and where they mentioned, look, for now, we want to know where the problem is, and then the ministry looks for resources to ensure that that problem is solved. Of course, I think the ministry is aware that schools out there are sharing very good teachers. If there is a very good teacher of mathematics, I mean, and he has time, then maybe he would be teaching here. Now, in terms of capturing this information in EMIS, where the teacher is registered by 10 schools, we do not do 10 registrations of the teacher. What will happen is that we have one profile, because remember you are registering the teacher by the name. So we are able to know that this teacher is in the following school, so we will not register them again, we only attach the school. And the aim of that is to make sure that when we come to EMIS data indicators, especially to do with the student-to-teacher ratio, if a school is entirely using teachers who are moonlighting, that school will get a very wrong ratio if you do not register those teachers. So it is important that you register those teachers, whether they've been registered by other schools or not, don't worry about that. Then at a later stage, when the ministry realizes that a particular area, let's say in Eastern Uganda, most teachers are moonlighting, then now that's the basis of planning. That is the whole reason why we have EMIS, to make sure that those challenges are identified through data, and then the ministry can plan to have more teachers in that location or something like that. So the issue of their registration should not be a problem. Please, wherever the teacher is, whether private, part-timing or whatever, include him in EMIS, and let us handle the issue of how we manage the profiles and all that. Okay.
Okay.
Over to you, Mr. Du.
Thank you, David. I think Patrick did. Please, if you already asked your question, put down your hand. Nyakaikara. Nyakaikara. Okay, Kagoda Stephen. Kagoda Stephen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dungu. I just have one concern, whereby most of the schools, more so in the rural setting, up to now, they don't know about EMIS. I'm also suggesting that the deadline of 9th should be extended, maybe up to next year. Because as I talk of now, some schools you even tell them about EMIS and they will ask you, what is that? So I request the ministry to extend the deadline. And I also request the ministry that if they can organize workshops through the education officers for these head teachers, more so, most of them don't know about EMIS, they don't have gadgets, such that we design a way of how we can assist them, more so the schools in the rural setting. So that is my request. Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, request noted. We will take all these discussions beyond today. Now that the PS is coming and the senior managers are coming, they will also hear some of those questions coming back after the PS has spoken. We will take in that, but most importantly, the DEOs need to inform. DEOs need to inform. Now, I have Frank who has put up his hand. Normally, Frank, unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Dungu. My name is Frank and mine is just small. I was trying to register some learner. I think they made a mistake when they were registering her in primary. And her date of birth was put as 2020. So meaning she's about 2 years now. So when I was trying to register her, the system just rejected her. So I don't know who will fix that. Is it needed to fix that for us, or she has to go there and rectify her details? I don't know. Thank you very much.
David, did you pick that before Patrick Busima comes in? David, did you pick that before Patrick Busima comes in?
Yes, I had actually earlier on addressed that issue, but let me repeat. Some of the data that we have has what we call truncated or cut date of birth. Instead of 20 something, it says 20. And that's what is causing that date of birth of 2020 error. We are aware of it, and all the learners who are affected, once we correct it, then they will be addressed, so you'll be able to update your learner. So those isolated cases, we will be able to solve them. There's no need to go to UNEP.
Okay, Patrick Busima.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ronald. I want to make a few submissions. First of all, I want to appreciate the Minister of Education for the shift to online in the data management. The issue of registration is not new. We all have to recall that we had the time of statistical forms. And during that time, ideally, we had the AMS numbers. What comes up now as a new thing is probably capturing the parents' details where we acquire their NIN numbers and the rest. I want to submit that this data we are now looking at the accuracy and the validity that's going to help in planning and allocation of resources. Now, as we talk about registration, this is going to be really a gradual process because we have the learners, the human resource, the school management, the infrastructure. So given all this, that we are introducing a new enrolling people online, given that some schools are upcountry, they are not connected to the network grid, others not hear about the updated version of computers, I would make this kind of submission. The MS schedules should be very well stipulated to give time for cascading this information to the lowest of the lowest. Two, better revise the timelines. Yes, timelines give pressure to hit the target, but we have to consider the technology that we have. Going back to statistical forms, the involvement of the sub-counties and the town clerks were required to endorse on these forms. So we have to put in consideration the timelines and how other people can even afford their phone, even better still, know how to log into AMS. So that's my submission to that. And probably one other crucial thing is about the parents' contacts. Parents have themselves asked the head teachers to put the contacts to these ones. One of the issues why we're doing this is when the contacts are not there, the data would be rejected. So I like the way we're saying, okay, if we bring in the editing process later, we can establish it to the collect contacts probably for future, but for now, we have nothing to do for the schools that we are helping. I submit.
Okay, thank you, Patrick, for all those reminders you've given us. We really apologize for the schedules that are tight, but we also have a tight deadline for all this. We should be using EMIS at the beginning of the year for planning for other things. So really, this is the reason, but I will leave some of those to the PS who is coming on shortly. Now, if I still have someone who wants to speak, just put on your video. That's what Patrick did, because the others, I invite them and they don't accept to open their microphone. Noah, Katende Noah, do you want to speak? Noah, you want to speak?
Yes, I want to speak.
Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My worry is on private schools where we belong. But most of the private schools, they didn't get the information in time and were misled by the neighboring government schools. And most of their kids in government schools. So is there any way how we can help those private schools to register their kids, their respective EMIS number?
Okay, Noah, you were breaking. Put that in the chat so that we capture it on the WhatsApp group. I encourage all the members here to join the WhatsApp group so that we continue chatting the way forward. Naikima Michael, unmute. Naikima Michael.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to thank the ministry for this innovation that is going to be a basis for planning. My concern is that I have a school here in Bukwa district, which is called Chiakwasta Secondary School. This school tried to register learners, but unfortunately it happened that by sharing the EMIS number with another school. So as they tried to enter their learners, the information of the learners that was uploaded was going to the other school. And up to now, those learners are still in the other school in Kapchong. Then two is that I've made an observation on the training, which is to start on 28th to 2nd of December. Now that we are going to train 30 teachers, the time when the schools have closed and learners will not be around, how is it going to benefit them, given that the deadline is on 9th? Thank you.
David, I got somebody distracting me here. David, did you take that down?
I think there isn't much actually technical here. Most of this seem administrative. The issue of Patrick about the revising the deadline due to poor technologies, I think the deadline matter is more administrative. Maybe the PS will mention something on that. The issue of private schools did not get info in time. They were misled by the government schools around, where that's quite interesting, but I'm sure now you have the right information, Noah. So you'll have to act now. On the issue of sharing the EMIS number by different schools, yes, we do realize in the very old system, and again, this is why we have redeveloped EMIS to ensure that those challenges don't arise again. Some letters were issued, schools were issued letters with EMIS number, which were already given to other schools. So it is not only your district, Muko, but I've seen other cases elsewhere, and those we are working towards resolving to see who actually takes up the IMIS number, or we issue a new one to the other school, and then we clean up the data. So some of those cases, yes, they are not many, but we do have them in the system. And those happened because, again, when you mix the manual method in the previous IMIS, then you will get those challenges. But going forward, we hope that this can be solved once and for all, and you will not have mixed IMIS numbers in the near future. The issue of the training ending when schools have closed, I think, yes, head teachers still need this knowledge. And unless you're saying that by the time the learners come back, the head teachers would have forgotten, that would be a different matter. But I still think that training is training. And given that we need to use this data in January, Feb, that would affect the issue of the deadline, and then training must really go on. As Mr. Dung mentioned, this group which is here today is to assist other schools. So if you find the school doesn't have enough information, please explain to them. And if you have the manual on your WhatsApp, please forward it to the headmaster near you, and then we see how we get all the data in. That's it. Over to you, Mr. Dungo.
Okay, thank you, David. And ladies and gentlemen, we have, I don't know, Valentine, are you hearing us? Valentine, are you hearing us? We want to connect to the PS now. Valentine and Vincent, could you let me know if you are hearing us? Okay. As they come on, let's take one more from Magezi. Let's take one more from Magezi. Magezi, unmute. We take one more as the PS settles in. We take one more from Magezi. Magezi, have you seen? Vincent, are you in the meeting now? Can you hear us, Vincent? Valentine, are we connecting to you? Okay, Nyakaikara, take one question more. Nyakaikara, take one more question. Unmute Nyakaikara and give one more question. Okay, Otim, can you unmute and take one more question, Otim?
I greet you all. I have 3 questions. The first one is, we have refugees, we have students who sat in refugee camp schools, and when we try to register them, they don't come in. This is Bombami Secondary School. Then the second one is, we have students who registered here in Senior 6, but when we try to register them as our students, they say that the system says that they are already registered, of which they are in the school here. Now we don't know where they are registered. Then the other one is, we have 4 categories of teachers in this school. We have the soldier teachers. We have these teachers who are in government, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Education. Then we have those ones who are defense workers, and then BOG teachers. But in your system, there is no provision for soldier teachers. So I don't know how you can help us to handle this. Those are my submission.
David, can you respond?
Thank you, Dungo, and your team. You have very interesting data that you are bringing on board soldier teachers. Well, I saw the teacher is actually a teacher, whether you're a soldier or a farm at home. So maybe these soldier teachers, do they have special qualification or something, or they are actually trained teachers? So, but I think someone more experienced with the teaching, Mr. Dungu, needed to answer this one. As you are aware, me, I'm a computer man, so the teaching bit, I will leave it to you, Mr. Dungu, you can answer that. Already registered learners, I mentioned how they come about, and as soon as we enable the editing, you will be able to correct all this. I had already explained it. Other schools are putting wrong index numbers which belong to your learners. So it's not your fault. And this is going to be resolved once we enable the deletion of such learners by those schools. As for the refugee learners, you will need to follow the exact procedures of registering refugee learners. The process is very clear on the system. And all you need is to make sure the refugee learners have the refugee numbers. And once they have that, then it should be much easier to add them in the IMIS. If they don't have the documents, then it's going to be a bit tricky because, again, remember, IMIS, we are uniquely identifying learners. So every learner in the Ugandan school system has got to be identified. So if you have foreigners who don't have passports, they don't have papers, then you are in Ugandan schools, then how shall we account for those? So those are some of the challenges, again, we'll need to think about and see how we solve them. Over to you, Mr. Dungu.
Okay, thank you, David. And ladies and gentlemen, we cannot continue now with those questions. We need to now join the permanent secretary, who is ready now to speak to us. Vincent, can you hear me? Vincent, could you usher in the PS, Vincent? If you're hearing me. Okay, maybe I lost Vincent. Our dear permanent secretary, you are most welcome. We have been sitting here since 2 p.m. answering questions from the teachers and head teachers who are joining in here. Valentine, are you hearing us?
It's so low.
We are so low. Maybe the connection here. Vincent, can you usher in the PS so that she speaks to the team here? Over to you, Vincent.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you for the PS. This is the team of what we are calling support teams from districts, government teachers, and
a number of things.
For the last 1.5 hours, we have been discussing on issues, basically answering questions that the heavy teachers are facing while uploading information. We have our developers on board. So it has been an interactive discussion to know what the teams are facing, and you are as well suggesting recommending solutions so that you can have data uploaded quickly in the system. So yes, I take this opportunity to invite you to address the members here who are eagerly waiting to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Vincent, and good afternoon to you all. To all the city, municipal, and district education officers, to representatives of MDAs, to staff of the Ministry of Education and Sports, to all head teachers, and to all teachers here, and all distinguished participants. I want to warmly welcome you to this engagement. My sincere apologies for the late start. We had a number of meetings that interfered with your time. My sincere apologies. And I'm hoping that you've done most of the the discussions in this meeting so that I do not take much of your time, but a very sincere apology to you all. I want to thank you for joining this meeting. We have been laboring on having this meeting for some time, and even now it has been difficult to fix, but I'm glad we have managed to fix it. I thank you for the support that you continue to render to this ongoing exercise of registering learners in the EMIS portal. It has taken a while, but I am hoping that we shall get there ultimately. You are aware that this exercise is very important, and I know that my team has very, very well labored to explain the importance of this exercise as a matter of requirement, especially with regard to our planning. We require that all our learners from pre-primary, primary, secondary, tertiary, universities, and other tertiary institutions be registered on the EMIS. And the purpose has been well articulated, I'm sure, by my team, as to establish learners' baseline information for verification and issuance of national identification numbers by NIRA. And we have already submitted some. And I want to thank those that have ably submitted to us information that we've been able to relay to NIRA for purpose of issuance of the NINs. To date, I'm informed that we have close to 7 million learners uploaded, pending, of course, verification by NIRA and final issuance. And since this exercise started in June 2022, we have so far submitted 4.1 million learners to NIRA for verification. We have not yet received the feedback. We await the feedback and final issuance. And right now we are working with the Ministry of Health is working towards registering children at birth and giving them a NIN. And then when they start school, we use that NIN also for registration at different levels, including when they sit for UNEB examinations and for purpose of examinations for other trainings. As a ministry, would like to track the movement of our learners using a single identifier, which is the NIN. And this also is supposed to help us to plan better for our education system. The ministry is undertaking the following steps to support our schools and local governments to perform their roles in EMIS. And one of them is that we are now utilizing the call center facilities. And we want to thank the Directorate of DES for providing us the facility to provide the required support for EMIS users in schools and local governments. And this is a toll-free number, which I am sure you have already been using. And it's 080003 77771. I'm sure the number will be availed if it's not already availed. The ministry is also undertaking trainings for local government staff on utilization and management of EMIS. And well, this already took place, didn't it? Yeah, we've already conducted these trainings. Districts are also supporting schools who have been identified and are undergoing training to work hand in hand with local government staff so that they can cascade the training to all head teachers. I think this is ongoing, and the ministry will continue utilizing the different communication channels to share information on EMIS. The approval process for EMIS. EMIS number applications has been fully automated. I hope this is true, Vincent, and we believe this will eliminate unnecessary delays for applicants. And I want to encourage you, DEOs, MEOs, to approve the schools quickly to avoid the delays. We've been experiencing some delays here, and I would like to request the DEOs and MEOs to help us expedite on those approvals because they've been holding us back a bit. The ministry has also instituted sanctions, and we indicated this in a letter for schools that fail to provide the required learner information. For government schools, we indicated in our letter that we shall withhold capitation grants. And for private schools, we also indicated that we may revoke licenses and registration certificates. And if a school fails to register the P7, Senior 4 and Senior 6 candidates for this year, 2022, we shall move to withhold the UNEB results. This also means that you will not register any candidate next year who is not on the EMIS. As a ministry, we want to thank all head teachers very sincerely who have come out to support the rest of the schools to register their learners. And we request that you work with the DEOs and MEOs and organize trainings for all head teachers in your districts, starting at the sub-county level. And this should run from 28th November to 2nd December to allow for those schools that have not started to begin on their work. I'm sure this will go a long way to improve the registration process. I want to implore head teachers to inform the parents about the EMIS registration through the end of term circulars that you'll be issuing, and to request them to give all the learners details required to fast track completion of this exercise. I wish to reiterate that all secondary schools and local governments that fail to upload their learners will be deliberately frustrating the newly launched lower secondary curriculum starting early next year. Head teachers will be transmitting. Starting early next year, head teachers will be transmitting learners' continuous assessment scores to UNEB using the names that will be provided. With those few remarks, I thank you for listening to me and wish the schools a safe closure of the term. Thank you very much. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you, Madam PS. If you have one or two questions for the PS, I know we've answered all the questions, but if you have one or two questions, please raise your hand. Raise your hand.
I may end up referring the technical people at the end. Okay. Any issues?
St. Mary's College, Chisubi, unmute. St. Mary's College, not Chisubi. St. Mary's College, unmute. You saw your hand up. Has it gone down? Okay. Any one question? Yes, I can see Senior 5 Science, unmute.
So who is Senior 5 Science?
Please tell us.
Hello. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes, I've been following up the debate. Now we have an issue of issuing of numbers for registration, where more than one school has been given the same number. How are we going to handle such registration? Yet, you have already said something in regards to those who will have not finished registration. Thank you.
Should be. Some schools have been the same. Some schools have the same number. Is that possible?
Yes.
There's a comment. There's a comment online.
The PS raised the circular head teachers because some head teachers We shall pick the comments. Etoma Arua. Etoma Arua, unmute.
Take note of those issues of multiple schools getting the same MES number. Is that happening? Okay, there is a, okay. If he's not on, you can raise another person that is ready.
Arnold.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name once again is Etoma from Aroa City. During our discussion, please, I am, yeah, yes.
Etoma might have to type.
Etoma, we are losing you.
Can we move to another person while he'll come on later?
From Aroa City. Are you getting?
Etoma, we are not getting you. Arnold.
Yes, Madam.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for the time and the advice towards the implementation of this MES registration software. Mine is not a question. However, it is a concern. I'm a teacher of Arnold. Arnold is a school in Kiriandongo refugee settlement camp, where we have a very high number of refugees in the settlement. Madam, I'm humbly begging you that if possible, extend the deadline. We're having a number of challenges. If you'd allow me just to summarize briefly, one of them is differences in enrollment, data collection thing. You find that a child comes today with a registration form of MES with 3 names. Then tomorrow they come back with a different name. Now, when you ask them to bring the attestation card, you find that there is a different name again in the attestation card. This is making this work very hard. And to some of these refugee learners we are having in Kiriandongo, some do not have refugee number or individual number at all. Now, when you begin to fast track this, you realize that at one point they were in Palabek, then from Palabek, they moved to maybe Rhino Camp, then finally they're in Kiriandongo. So fast tracking these learners and making sure they are able to give us the required data for registration would require them to go to the first camp where they first settled and later on began to make this movement. So we are getting problems with really these refugees. Their data collection is taking us a little bit of time, and you cannot just force them to do it or just
Refugees. Is that all, Arnold? Is that all, Arnold? So I will move to the next. Pardon? Can we move to the next? Patsime?
Madam, yes, there were questions in the chat. I request that the PS writes a circular to teachers because some head teachers are not taking this exercise seriously. I don't know how many circulars.
We have written so many, and we are the 4th circular, unless you write now specific to head teachers, certain head teachers.
Then the other was, please elaborate on your name registration next year in relation to this number.
Okay, that's a new requirement. Can you, statistics, elaborate on the issue of UNEP? Or can we take all the questions and then respond once? Maybe that would help us. I think now it's Chichoncho. Noel?
Yes, thank you, Madam. This is the Hannington Chichoncho. I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for your communication. Thank you very much. I need the guidance on nursery teachers. If they are to be uploaded in the system, they don't have they don't have TMIS numbers. These ones that are generated in the system when they are registering for certificates. So I need guidance on how they shall be handled when it comes to registering them also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Nanyondo.
Thank you, Madam.
Continue. She's gone off.
Is you told us that we have to put the. Excuse me?
We missed you from the beginning. Start from the beginning.
Yes. Yes. Okay. What I was saying that I'm from Masaka District, Kabendera Primary School. For me, I started registering children, but there are some parents who don't have phone numbers. That is a problem. That's why we put hours. We didn't want to make that space open, to leave it open. Because for us, we asked them, they said for us, we don't have. What can we do with those parents? Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The next person, there is no name, but I see Technoprop. Samuel Okware.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me, Madam?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me, Technopop?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm a guest Stanley, head teacher, Life College School, Chitagova in Wakiso here. I have two areas of concern. One, that when I registered the learners in early September, I submitted all learners. But then we have some learners who do have NINI numbers. They received NINI numbers. Now, when we uploaded this data, for them, their work is up now is still pending. So it's a concern. Then another concern, when we're deliberating since at 2, we're looking at how do we wrap it up and speed up the work of the learners. Indeed, as we have deliberated at parents, some of them, they are adamant that for us as school administrators who did our work, we gave in the forms, but they gave us wrong information. But even this still wrong information they gave us, we still went ahead by calling meetings, AGM meetings, to explain to them the purpose and the advantage of MEs. But up to now, if the deadline is on 9, see, for instance, I have the total number of 125 learners, but only the 80 came up. Now, when the 80 came up, these other parents, when I called them, up to now, I have not received them. But now the term is coming to an end, and you are telling us by 9, we must close the whole thing. I beg to rest my case, and I beg for that clarity. Asanteni sana.
Okay. Okware.
Aaron, unmute.
Can we move to Twikiriza?
Yeah, thank you, Madam. This is Twikiriza Sam from Kawale Quality Primary School in Kawale District. Yeah, my concern is about this deadline of 9th December. Shall this deadline affect schools which submitted learners' data using the Excel sheet and it was accepted, but it had no student photos. 2, we have just come to learn that there are some schools which have nursery schools attached to primary, and the primary has already submitted, but we have come to learn that the nursery section needs to apply separately, and therefore it needs a separate EMS. And unfortunately, some schools of the nursery section do not have the EMS numbers of now. So we are going to try and apply quickly, but I don't know whether we shall capture this deadline. The third is
Okay, we'll answer later. Okay, continue.
Yeah, the third is the third is about the segregative deadline, because you have such issues raised concerning very big enrollment of schools, hard to reach areas where schools are located in very remote areas, and the areas affected by insecurity like Kisoro and other places. So I would beg that such areas be considered, not to take all schools at ransom, that they are to meet a uniform deadline. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next. But sincerely, you've got 6 months. Since July, you're still asking, because you're from a hard to reach area. Since July, register students in school.
Hello.
The next, okay, proceed.
Are you getting me? Yeah, my name is Samuel Rogoto Kwale. I earlier on made my submission before PS giving her address, but I also wanted to state when she is there that we want to thank the ministry for this initiative. I personally have been in education for quite a time. I have known and I've been seeing how the education ministry has been trying to have learners have numbers. From that time when they sent cards to schools and it was not successful, but this time I believe this one will succeed. And I want to thank your initiative so much. My concern is only that it is not a question of what, but maybe if you do either alliance with other ministries or still through your ministry, that other stakeholders should be brought on board. The ministry has written a number of circulars, but they have been addressing to the heads of institutions. All those circulars who are talking about come to school and the local government officials, but the political wing is not mentioned anywhere. And yet the local councils could be able to help us in the mobilization. Some of these politicians are some of those who discourage parents. They are beginning to politicize some of these things. They are now registering their children also, so that those who reach 18, they all use them for rigging. So I felt maybe your ministry, in collaboration with other ministries, should also make a pronouncement to the political wing so that they should put in their voice. And like we shared on earlier on, maybe the ministry should be able to talk to some public media houses to let in these local government officials have in either radio stations, televisions, talk about this in the local languages of their areas. Because it is all within school. The MS is talked only in schools, and maybe education office, but radio stations hardly talk about it. It would help for those parents who seem not to be, but they cannot give in their contact. Some of them don't give their contact. Some of them don't.
Madam PS, some of the questions were raised earlier, and we also have a WhatsApp group where we are asking the members to put this question, and their colleagues are helping them. What is important, Madam PS, now is that the group meeting today plus the DEOs come together to organize themselves and arrange teacher meetings, but also other sensitization efforts, like talking to local councils and so on. We could write from the center, but also would like to request them going forward to prepare and plan how they can reach out to the rest of the stakeholders, including the circulars that are going to the schools. Otherwise, most of the that are being raised have been
There's somebody who said they have a question from Karamoja. Who is that?
somebody with a question from Karamoja in the chat.
Who is that from Karamoja? Can they post it on the chat so that we receive it?
The person who had a question from Karamoja.
Okay.
Maybe you can turn on your video.
Is there anybody who has not answered? Who has not raised their issue that is online or whose hand is up? Because I see the hands that spoke are still up.
Your video and then put up your hand so that we see you. Because
Any question that hasn't been raised at all maybe can be raised at this point.
turn on your video and put up show us your hand, then we know. Because most of the people here, their questions were asked earlier.
Okay. There are some hands there. Help them.
Toby Moses, do you have a question, Toby Moses?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to thank the PS for her time. I have only one issue here to raise. I am a special needs teacher. We have this kind of learners with some intellectual impairment where sometimes you find them in school A and then next time they are in school B. The following time again, they come to this school. I don't know how we can handle that. And then parents, sometimes they get information and they just take it for granted. And then they will come when you are finalizing, when you're almost on the last day, and then they will come begging to be helped. How do we handle that? Then lastly, I request for the training manual. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next, I see two others online.
Saint Anne 2C, Saint Anne 2C.
Okay, thank you, Madam.
Yes, please.
This is Mato Fumbina Joseph from St. Anne's in Tutsi Sembabule. I have one request. The request is on the deadline. One major issue concerning this process is on, we are trying to support some schools around here, but there is this issue I've just addressed today of pre-primary and primary, that there are different sections. I think it will require some time for such schools to first register their pre-primary section and get the EMIS. So this thing is likely to affect most primary schools that had not thought about separating the two sections. Thank you very much.
The next.
I think, Madam, yes, we need to be concluding now. Please switch on your video if you still want to talk and your hand is up. Switch on your video. Okay, Etoma, we had missed you now. Let's try again. Etoma, Arua City, let's try again.
Thank you so much for getting me on board once again. From Arua City, yeah, a number of requests have been made, particularly on the issue of time. We're doing this training on 28th to 2nd of December, when schools would have already closed. And a number of schools, we have actually experienced a challenge where when you are entering data of learner, you find a parent has put on a NIN number, and at the time you're entering this number, the system cannot recognize it because they might have spelled it poorly or something might have been written wrongly. And sometimes we use the telephone numbers to try to get to these parents. in some circumstances, you even find the telephone number which is written there is not the correct one. So you find a way. The next option is maybe to send a cheat through a child, and tomorrow you find a better information as you are doing this. So the process has generally been very slow due to that. Like other members have requested, I think we would really need some little time if we are to give authentic information, bearing in mind that the issues of legality that will come back to us as schools, especially school head teachers, because when we submit wrong information, of course, the parent would have every right to complain, and this would come back to school. So I will continue to join the rest of the other members that time be given for us to really to submit an authentic information. Thank you, PS, for these innovations.
Thank you. The rest, the next, I think.
Shamate?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much, the PS and the team. I had raised this question, but about our runners whose details are not being uploaded because they are being shown as already registered, but you answered it by saying that you include a deletion option on the system. But now my worry is there are some centers or schools which have already completed their registration, and they will first delete those runners to enable us to register. What happens in situations where those schools don't deregister or delete those runners, and yet we are supposed to register them and upload other details like their photos? And then lastly, we have a challenge of some runners, especially in O level, where you try to register and the registration is successful, but on checking other details like date of birth, you find the date of birth is wrong and it doesn't correspond at all with the runner's normal or right date of birth. This was noticed when we tried to export their data to Excel. We realized the date of birth in the system is older than the actual date of birth of these runners. I thank you very much.
Okay, have you got that? Have you got that?
David, are you online? It's about
Yeah.
the date of
Yes,
birth,
I'm here.
and the return is a different date of birth, especially the year.
Yes, can I respond to that?
Please respond.
Yes, thank you. Please note that the date of birth, for O level, the details we are using are the details you've been submitting to UNEB. You remember these learners registered at P7 and as well as O level. So when you submit the index number of this learner in O level, we automatically pick the same details from UNEB. The idea being that we want to share the same information across the education sector. So what this implies is that the data you gave to UNEB was wrong in the first place. And I'm not sure whether actually UNEB will change this date of birth or what it takes. And maybe the PS will advise how do we handle the mismatch of this data where one learner has two different dates of birth. In one area, it is a new one, then in education, it is a new one. So it's something that we need an administrative advice to know which date of birth. And again, when they register with NIRA, maybe they will submit another date of birth. So it's a bit tough to decide, but for now we say, let's go with the one of UNEB. That's why you find that the date of birth you have in the Excel is different from the one you have submitted. The issue of already registered learner, I explained that a number of schools, their learners submitted wrong index numbers. So when they registered these learners on IMIS, the details which were picked were for learners that they did not have in their school. So they realized that their students have given them wrong index numbers. Now, these learners are registered in other schools, but as I mentioned, we are providing what we call the delete function so that the schools can immediately delete those learners which don't belong to their school so that they can be registered by their rightful schools. And I think that's what the gentleman was trying to explain on that. If I may move on to the other issues which are not concerning the deadline, I think some from Cover mentioned that they have uploaded data without photos, so will they be affected by the deadline? I think even as of this evening, you should be able to attach your photos to the learners or even tomorrow. So the deadline is on 9, so this shouldn't stop you from updating your photos. He mentioned that he has just learned of today that the nursery section requires its own IMIS number. So will he be able to meet the deadline? I think if you do put in your application this evening, which is a simple procedure online, and you have your DEO recommend or approve it, then within the next 1 day or 2, you should have your IMIS number. The issue of hard to reach areas and insecurity, I think someone will comment on that. There is someone, I forgot the name, but I also registered Tekno5 from Wakiso. He mentioned that parents were giving wrong info. Yes, we realize that a number of schools are requesting on support that they need to edit the data. And yes, we have enabled some of this data to be edited, but other fields require us to modify the system to ensure that you can fully edit this. So you will have the opportunity to edit this, but ensure that all your data is in. Editing is another process altogether. You mentioned that you uploaded some data and you see some Excel not processed. Yes, if you do upload some Excels where there are wrong records, then you will see some of them, they are logs. This is not data, they are logs because the data is indicated under the menu of manage learners. So do not go to the logs of upload, which tracks the way you upload data, and you say that is data. Those are just logs to show you the trend of, you can upload as many files as you can, and we track every file you upload and track all the errors that are in that file. So some of those will be indicated as processed, successful, non-successful, depending on the status of the data you have uploaded. I think Nanyondo from Masaka mentioned that parents do not have phone numbers. I think we had mentioned, yes, we would like to communicate to the parents maybe in the near future. But we have seen some of those contacts where we ask for phone numbers, the teachers put their own, so you find the entire school has one phone number. So in the near future, when IMIS is used to communicate to the parents or in an event of any abrupt information, then all that information will go to the head teacher. But again, this field will be editable. So as soon as you get parents who can update their contact information, that should be able to be done.
David, what happens when the head teacher moves?
And that is a challenge, PS. When the head teacher moves, then we have a big problem. That's why we encourage head teachers not to put their phones really, because head teachers move all the time. So it is something that we really need to look at, and then we see how we advise those head teachers who use their phone contacts. And that's why we said when you are registering the IMIS account for the school, especially for government schools, do not use your personal email. In fact, those ones we've been rejecting them. Because tomorrow, when you are transferred to another school, then you move with all the passwords, and then the people you leave behind, they are stuck. And that's why you say create an institutional email, which when you are leaving, you hand over to the other colleague, but not your personal email. So those are some of the challenges of managing the digital bit. But I'm sure with time we'll resolve this as we move on. Chichonjo mentioned nursery teachers without TIMIS or TMIS numbers. I think if they are nursery teachers, then these are not on government payroll because again, government does not have teachers in nursery schools. So in that case, their registration in the IMIS would not, the IMIS number is not mandatory unless they indicate that they are trained teachers. And if they are trained teachers, then we expect them to have already registered in the teacher management information system, so they should have this number. If they are qualified teachers, then they don't need to indicate the TMIS number. Arnold from, I think the refugee camp, in the refugee area, he talked of the mismatch of ID data for learners and taking long, where learners come with a name every day. And again, maybe I have to mention, PS, that we are trying to finalize the process of integrating with UNHCR system and the Office of the Prime Minister, which has the central database of all refugees in the country. And once this is done, maybe these problems will quickly be solved. Of course, the issues of MOUs have perhaps taken long, but eventually this will be done. And then Arnold's challenge will also be solved. But for now, I think Arnold has to help to ensure that really the learners in refugee camps bring the correct information. There isn't any way we can help him on that for now. Then someone mentioned the issue of mix-up of IMIS numbers. PS, we realized that when we got the old data, we've seen cases where two schools have turned up with two IMIS numbers which are the same. And when they provide evidence, the letters that were issued, you find actually they were signed by someone from the ministry, but maybe several years ago. And even these schools went ahead and got center numbers from UNEB. So now we've been discussing and say which school now owns the IMIS number. I did ask Vincent and say, I think we need to engage senior management and make decisions on this, and maybe engage the two schools and agree either amicably and say, I think that this school go with the number, and then the other one we give you a new one. But it is a challenge, and it is been.
How many schools have you discovered in that category?
I think there've been like almost maybe 11 cases also.
Okay.
And we are yet to resolve because there could be some legal challenges. Of course, if you take away the IMIS number from this school, someone can challenge you legally. So we don't want to go that direction unless we can really have an amicable solution. So it is something internally that the ministry has to resolve. Of course, those letters they bring, we are not sure actually whether they are genuine or whether they were forged or someone issued it at NASA Road. We are not quite sure. But as we mentioned, the redeveloped IMIS now has automated this process, and we are saying, let's do away with this problem once and for all, and we avoid these mix-ups. Mr. Dungu, I think this is, those are the issues I captured, and at least there's something I've forgotten. Over to you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Pierre and colleagues. I'll just look at a few issues that David has not highlighted. First of all, the issue of the registration versus any numbers next year. We've already known that for primary, the EMIS number will be used as the UNEB center number. Okay. And
wait, so if the EMIS numbers are the same, the UNEB numbers are the same?
No, UNEB doesn't do that.
UNEB number. So some schools have the same UNEB numbers. Is that what that means?
that's why I'm saying it's difficult, because for UNEB cannot have a duplicate. Okay. We are going to do because we want to ascertain whether these schools are these numbers are actually there UNEB center numbers. Okay, if it is true, you cannot relocate these people to another school. So I believe we can technically analyze the situation and then have a solution. Then another issue that came up is special needs learners moving from schools to school. Yes, these are in the system, as we shall see. We have a function of learner transfer. Okay, a learner can be transferred from school A to school B, and you'll be able to track the movement of this learner. So what we are doing here right now is to have everybody registered so that we have baseline information before we can be able to trigger some of the functionalities. But I think most of the questions our colleague who talked about for earlier initiative, clearly, I think we have come out the long way as a delegation. I remember we attempted to do this. We said how to booklets for schools to register their learners, learner attempts to give them, to use for them pupil identification numbers. But that failed. But we believe that this time around, together with the other agencies of government, we should be able to uniquely identify our learners. Then finally, yes, the issue of deadline, I will leave this to you, but only to say that as we move along, we will eventually come up with the analysis calendar of events next academic year, so that we are able to organize ourselves with clear roles for each of the parties of the EMIS and time.
Yes, before you come in, there is a question from Karamoja. Learners report throughout the term, and when it's harvesting time or planting season, learners disappear from schools. This makes it hard to register all the learners in time. This is Kakulu Javid, a deputy teacher, Yola Chat Seed Secondary School in Karamoja.
Okay, any other questions? I see hands. Are they hands that want to ask questions, or they are hands that were forgotten?
It's like they are hands that you have forgotten.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for all these questions. These are not new questions. They keep recurring. And I honestly am not technical. I think my key question is extension of date. And it's a very difficult question to answer because we have been extending since July. Every 6 months, is it? Almost 6 months. So really, what justification is there for us to extend? Is really my question. We can handle on case-by-case basis areas that are hard to reach, because I know there have been challenges in those areas. And until we really establish that there are challenges, because then we shall extend forever if we keep giving this chance for extension all the time. So really, for now, we are not extending. We shall attend to case-by-case issues where there are unique cases in the hard-to-reach areas that are really understandable, because I think we have extended long enough. So I appeal to us really to go to hit the ground running and register our teachers. Honestly, what does it take to register learners? You have 200 learners or 500. You have a week to sit. Assign your one person to really take these register your learners. For some time, give them full, a full-time duty to just register the learners, so that we get this information, members, because we are also at risk from finance of stopping even payments for the entire sector if we do not deliver this information. We are not doing this exercise just for the sake. So it is my humble appeal that you help us. Even when you provide your justification, we shall study it. We shall not just offer you extra time because you provided a justification. We are going to verify that justification to see if it's befitting for extra time, because we can't continue giving extensions upon extensions. We have already heard that some head teachers are just adamant. They are not even bothered or interested in this exercise. Yet this is a government policy. It is no longer really just like they say. So my humble appeal is to head teachers, DEOs, is to help the schools and ensure that they register within that deadline. If it means working through the night, do it. When we have exams, we work through the night and we deliver. So work through the night and deliver. Where you have unique challenges, come to us, we shall verify them, and we shall provide a way forward for you. There was something that was raised on photographs. I don't know how it's being done and how that is being done, but maybe that is an internal thing for us. I wouldn't want to go to it. We have taken note of involving politicians, and over the weekend we were here, and I was able to talk to the PS for ICT, and she said there is a 1 hour that is available on all radio stations that we can utilize on the issue of EMIS, to popularize EMIS. So I want us to sit as a sector and see how we can utilize the radio stations, because we have, I think, free airtime on every radio station available in the country. If I got her right, we can utilize that 1 hour to popularize EMIS. And that will require all the district officials, all the DEOs, Ministry of Education staff to utilize this opportunity, which is available daily on our radio or media houses. I think this information we can get from Ministry of ICT. Yes, we also have an internal committee, interministerial, that works together to ensure that we deliver EMIS. So that we shall also continue utilizing as we work with our other stakeholders to ensure that this EMIS succeeds. Issues of parents without phone numbers and DEOs, head teachers now filling in the gap of the parent. I think we need to consult. I'm sure we shall get a way forward. Issues of changes in date of birth, I think those are also issues that we shall consult on and get back to you on a way forward, because they are not responses that we can provide immediately. Issues of same EMIS numbers, all those are issues that are a bit technical and might have even legal implications. So those I request that you allow us time to go and think through them, and then we can get back to you. I think those are the issues I have on my side here. Unless we have any other issues that can be raised. We have the Commissioner Government Secretary here. Mr. Kuluba, if you have anything that you'd like to tell the meeting, I think you can say it now as a key stakeholder. Issue which I didn't hear a response to. I don't know if David responded to it, where somebody said that when there's an issue that pending, there is something that says pending, and when they are entering information, there is something that says pending, and they don't know why, and it's holding them back. Then the issue of parents being adamant, I think that is sensitization on our side. We appeal to you who are on the ground to help us with the parents. You're the ones who know where these parents are. Tell them the importance, because their tax money is going into the monies that we send to schools. So it should be in their interest really to register learners so that they know that their money is being utilized well and for purpose. But that is just one of the reasons. So really we shall, I think, provide a better statement that can be used, that is same across board for all our stakeholders to use during publicity of MEs. But it is an exercise that we must undertake. Some of our projects by World Bank are being held because we do not have MEs in place. So it is in our interest, all of us stakeholders, to ensure that we deliver these MEs, so that the sector also is able to benefit from the resources that are available. So, Mr. Kulova, maybe you can now come in.
Thank you, PS. I would like to thank you, first of all, for staying on up to this rate in this meeting, but also the work that you have been doing. When we started, the speed was low, but we have now observed that we are gaining speed. I think my submission is on extension. When we extend the deadline 1, twice, 3 times, it becomes meaningless. I
think the volume is a bit low for the microphone. We can hardly hear anything.
Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear now?
Hello, can you hear now?
Yes, perfect now.
Oh, thank you so much. I didn't know I was talking to myself, but I was saying that I would like to appreciate the colleagues. When we started this exercise, the speed was low, but because of the concerted efforts, we've been working together and we have gained some good speed. My concern is on extension, which PS has alluded to. When you extend a deadline once, more than once, twice, 3 times, it becomes meaningless. I think we can strive to move faster. Now that we are going to liberate some time when schools close, I think we can, I mean, when students have finished exams, we can liberate that time and we put in a little more effort. Otherwise, colleagues, let's move. This MEs, we're all waiting for it. Planning depends on this MEs. There are so many things that are waiting for us as a ministry on this MEs. Thank you so much.
I saw some comments on the chat. Are they addressed?
Yes. Some of the questions that came in now. One was really who takes the cost of MEs registration? Are schools required to charge parents for these processes? That I think that was the one question that remained out. Otherwise, the rest were on deadline.
Okay.
Extending the deadline.
Okay. Okay. Members, I think the issue of the cost has been handled in previous meetings, hasn't it?
Yes, it has been handled, and we shall continue handling all these questions on myself.
Yes, and I encourage that we do not hold die silently. Where you have a challenge, we have the call center, we have the commissioners here, we have the PS here. Feel free to communicate and send a message, a WhatsApp, so that we address the problem, because really we are in this MS thing together. If we do not have the MES data, we cannot plan. If we cannot plan, then funds are going to be withheld from all of us. So it is, we are in this thing together. Let's work together to ensure that it succeeds. I know it can succeed because this is not the first attempt to collect data. We are collecting data for TMIS. We are managing other information systems. So I do not see what is very unique about this one, that it cannot succeed. So really, we are relying on you, our stakeholders on the ground, the districts, to help us deliver this IMIS. So I want to thank you for coming really and bearing with us. I really, really do appreciate and apologize for this keeping you late. But I also want to appeal that we have more engagement. Maybe we can solve more problems when we have this kind of engagement, so that we discuss together and brainstorm together. I don't know how possible it is, because I also know that districts are busy and we are busy, but we can make time. Even if it is 1 hour, we can have a meeting and resolve issues. We have how many weeks left to the deadline? About 2 or 3?
Yes, we are requesting the districts and the support teams here to organize
About
the
18.
meetings in the week, 28th November to 2nd December. Probably within that week, we shall find a day when we can still meet 1 hour to see the progress and the issues on ground.
Okay. 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 So I'd like us to end here, but maybe you can. We request that David to stay online with us, and we do a wrap up on our side as the ministry. I want to thank you very much, the district officials and all those representatives of line ministries and our service provider for attending this meeting and for all the technical input to this meeting. And I would like to request that I adjourn this meeting for now. Hopefully we can have another meeting in a week or so to see where we are. Thank you.
Dear head teachers and the rest of the members, we thank you for your time. Please, let's keep on WhatsApp. Let's help each other and let us answer all these questions like you've been doing. It's really feeling good to hear that there are experts now on EMIS who can answer other people's questions. We request that you log in, members, so that we wind up the meeting. David, please stay online. Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
We are going home.
for another meeting. If that is Vamos, Semwanga, can you log off so that you allow us to have another meeting? Mohammed, Michael, Noel, Ojok, can you log off? Pascal, Pius, Juko, please log off so that we have another meeting. Mr. Mlindwa will remain. Mr. Mlindwa, stay online. Bruno, move off. Geoffrey, Henry, Dio, Madiokolo, Anthony, Alphonse, we are waiting for you to move off so we can have a meeting. Badur, Aaron. Aaron Katusime, Olupot. So when you put in waiting, they are not. Okay, what of Mr. Mlindwa? Okay. David, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, okay, they are moving off. So are we free to speak? Okay. But they are taking time, they're stuck on 18. Jacqueline, can you log off? And Rogers. Johnson, Marcos, please log off and allow us to have another meeting. Infinix, Geoffrey, Noah, please log off. David, please log off. The other David, there is another one. Johnson, how many are left?
I think they're almost. It is Infinix, Hot, Kusima.
So there is Johnson there. Is Johnson our person from the ministry? So what does that mean?
Those are
Okay.
the waiting room.
Or they can't hear? Okay. Okay. Hey, unmute Mr. Mlindwa. Okay, so members, thank you very much. I think let's have a brief brainstorming for about 5-10 minutes. Maybe David could give us a brief of where we are. Is it David or it is Vincent?
I think Vincent had prepared a brief.
Okay, so where are you, Vincent? Where you are exactly? And then what is our expectation? How many learners are we supposed to register, for example? We now have close to 7 million. Speaking in the mic, huh?
Vincent, we can't hear you.
Thank you. Yes.
I think there was a functional mic which was Mr. Crover was using. It's a bit